We have breaking news. Hollywood director Rob Reiner has been found dead in his house along with his wife Michelle in what's being called an apparent homicide. Whoa, what's he famous for again? Well, Rob initially rose to fame for playing Meathead on the sitcom All in the Family in the 1970s before going on to direct a slate of classics from This Is Spinal Tap to When Harry Met Sally and Misery to A Few Good Men. Wow, so he and his wife were just found dead? Yeah, so we're still learning the details, but authorities were called to Rob's Brentwood residence. Wait, Brentwood? Isn't that where the O.J. Simpson murder happened? For legal reasons, I think we should add the word alleged there, but yeah, Rob's house is about a mile away from there, and authorities were called out around 3:30 p.m. local time today, and they found Rob and Michelle dead with stab wounds, and a family member is currently being questioned. Who is that's being questioned? So authorities did not name anyone, but People magazine has come out saying, according to their sources, Rob and Michelle were killed by their son, Nick, who for years struggled with drugs. Again, that has not yet been confirmed by anyone other than People. Wow, wait, wasn't Rob also involved in politics? Yes, he was a longtime vocal liberal Democrat activist. We have breaking news. Rhode Island authorities have just released the person of interest they had in custody for the Brown University shooting, and they say that the gunman is still on the loose. Wait, who'd they have in custody? A 24-year-old from Wisconsin who was taken into custody from a hotel about 20 minutes south of Providence this morning, but he has been released as authorities have just said there is no longer any basis to consider him a person of interest. So there's still an active murder on the loose. Yes, and authorities tonight confirmed the person seen in this video is still the person of interest that they're looking for. So if anyone recognizes this walk, they are to call the tip line, which is 401-652-5767. Is that the only video they have? Yes, and the Attorney General of Rhode Island said they are obviously not holding back any videos to the public they think would be useful. The fact is the building where this happened didn't have a lot of cameras. Is there going to be a new shelter-in-place directive? No, the mayor of Providence said he is not advising residents to shelter in place as they had been doing until early Sunday morning. He said there will be an enhanced law enforcement presence in Providence, and
they have no plan to tackle the affordability crisis, and that Donald Trump himself has continued to deny this crisis, calling it a hoax.
Democrats continuing to talk about affordability is annoying. Here's why it's annoying, because all we have to do is go look at their body of work. So if you go look at the 10 most unaffordable states to live in, and you don't include Hawaii or Alaska, here's what you get. Massachusetts, ran by Democrats. California, ran by Democrats. New York, Maryland, Washington, Vermont, Oregon, New Hampshire, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Democratic governance correlates with the worst affordability outcomes. In other words, there's a correlation between where Democrats govern and that place being unaffordable. 10 out of 10 of the most unaffordable states in the US are ran by Democrats. So no, I don't want to hear Democrats coming out here talking about affordability, and the Republicans don't care about affordability. We see that your governance leads to the opposite of affordability. So why are you talking? Well, because they can use that as a political cudgel to damage Donald Trump and try to get back in power. So when Donald Trump, and he doesn't say this the best when he says it, but when he says it's a hoax, what I think he means, and I think he's accurate, is the Democrats talking about affordability in this way is a hoax. I don't think he's saying it truthfully. Because again, if we look at the results of where Democrats govern, it's not really affordable. So no, we don't want them telling the Republicans how to make things affordable, because let's look at your results. And if we look at the results, democratic governance is not a way to get things to be more affordable. It's quite the opposite. So if you hear a bunch of Democrats talking about affordability, I would suggest you do not take them serious until we can actually see that their policy and their governance leads to things being affordable. So far, we're not really seeing that. So anyway, that's all I got for now. Just a reminder, I have a free email newsletter I send out every morning around 7 a.m. Central. Great place to get information, good place to stay up to date, and one of the only places I cannot be censored. I also go more in depth in many of my articles than I do in these videos. So yeah, the link's in my profile. Just go there, click the link. You'll see a little screen to drop your email in. Drop your email in, hit subscribe, and you'll be good to go. That's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, and we are live. Yo, this is S.E.T with S.E.T Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to go ahead and recap the week for this week with Trump's Politico interview, and then we're going to go ahead and get into a media analysis with the Brown shooting, the Aussie shooting, the 2 soldiers that died in Syria, and then, of course, the murder of this celebrity couple, well, of Rob Reiner and R.I.P.
Episode of The Conversation. I just wrapped up an interview with President Donald Trump here at the White House. We spoke for about 45 minutes about the seismic impacts that he is having all over the world, especially right now in Europe when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia war and when it comes to his relationship with our longtime allies, a very significant shift that his administration is looking to see on the European continent. We talked about Venezuela, of course, and then those domestic issues that are so important to Americans every day right now. That's talking about cost of living and affordability. It's talking about health care and those Obamacare subsidies that are set to expire at the end of the year. It was a wide-ranging conversation. Here is my interview with President Donald Trump. Mr. President, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Thank you.
So Politico has named you as the most influential person shaping Europe as part of our annual Politico 28 list. Past names that have topped the list include President Zelensky, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and President Viktor Orban. This year, Politico broke precedent to recognize an American for the first time in the history of P28. And sir, there is no question that you are having a seismic impact on the continent and its politics. One of the most pressing issues in Europe right now is the war between Russia and Ukraine. Your team has been going back and forth.
I wouldn't say one, I would say the most.
The most, you're right. Your team has been going back and forth between Putin and Zelensky with various drafts of a peace deal. Which country right now is in the stronger negotiating position?
Russia. Russia will be in the stronger negotiating position, seeing that the first peace deal was heavily weighted in their favor. And even the one that was reformed by Ukraine and European leaders, even that one is still weighted towards Russia. The only thing that they really took off of it was, oh, well, instead of limiting Ukraine's army to 600,000, they want to limit it to 800,000. And instead of giving Russia, you know, that land or it becoming de facto Russia, they want to try to create an economic free zone in some of these areas, whatever that means.
Well, there can be no question about it. It's Russia. It's a much bigger country. It's a war that should have never happened. Frankly, it wouldn't have happened if I were president, and it didn't happen for 4 years. I watched that taking place, and I said, wow, they're going to cause some problems here. And it started, and it could have evolved into World War III, frankly. I think it's probably not going to be happening now. I think if I weren't president, you could have had World War III. I think you would have had a much bigger problem than you have right now. But right now, it's a big problem. It's a big problem for Europe, and they're not handling it well.
Yeah, because the Biden administration, and let's be real, if Kamala was voted in, we'd have been into war with Russia. And the problem is some of the Dems would have actually liked that. There's actually people in America that want us to put boots on the ground over Ukraine to fight Russia, which would definitely cause a World War III. So we got people who's not really thinking this way, thinking it all the way through logically.
Last night, you said that you weren't sure if President Zelensky was fine with the most recent proposal, that he isn't ready. I was hearing from your advisors around Thanksgiving that they thought this thing might be wrapped up by the end of the holiday, but it's still not done. Is Zelensky responsible for the stalled progress?
No, Europe is, because Europe got in there and pretty much was trying to get a better deal for Zelensky. And it looks like the deal that they've written out is going to be dead on arrival because they hold no cards. They have no leverage that they can pull on Russia at all to get them a better deal. They're just trying to hope and pray that Russia gives them something, that Russia doesn't pretty much take the entire eastern Ukraine. They're pretty much praying that Russia actually lets them have a bigger army. So they're pretty much preying on Russia's goodwill or Putin's goodwill. And I don't think that's something good to bet on.
Or what's going on there?
Well, he's got to read the proposal. He hasn't read
the most recent draft.
That's as of yesterday. And maybe he's read it over the night. It would be nice if he would read it. You know, a lot of people are dying. So it would be really good if he'd read it. His people loved the proposal. They really liked it. His lieutenants, his top people, they liked it. But they said he hasn't read it yet. I think he should find time to read it.
Is it time for Ukraine to hold an election, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a long time. It's hasn't been.
Yeah, I doubt the Ukrainian people want to keep a leader around who led them into a losing situation, cost them millions of lives, pretty much destroyed infrastructure. People are going without lights, without heat, without water, all because Zelensky's too stubborn to admit that he's lost, and the European leaders as well. And it's more shame on the European leaders, because for them, the ones to be fear mongering, talking about, oh, Putin's going to take us next if he gets Ukraine, they're not really doing too much about it, to be quite honest.
Doing particularly well. Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's an important time to hold an election. They're using war not to hold an election, but I would think the Ukrainian people would, should have that choice, and maybe Zelensky would win. I don't know who would win, but they haven't had an election in a long time. They talk about a democracy, but it gets to a point where it's not a democracy anymore.
On Sunday, your son, Donald Trump Jr., responded to a reporter's question about whether you will, quote, walk away from Ukraine. And your son said, I think he may. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct, but it's not exactly wrong. We have to, they have to play ball if they don't read agreements, potential agreements. It's not easy with Russia because Russia has the upper hand, and they always did. They're much bigger.
Thank you.
They're much stronger in that sense.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Trump, for finally admitting that. Well, the media has been lying to the people for the past about 3 years about the possibility of Ukraine winning this war, which was never a possibility. But for some reason, like mainstream media was deluding the people, thinking that, oh, yes, small Ukraine can beat Russia, can beat one of the biggest, can beat a superpower. And we thought that we could sit there and just proxy them into a victory. And trust me, it did not work.
Give Ukraine a lot of. I give the people of Ukraine and the military of Ukraine tremendous credit for the bravery and for the fighting and all of that. But at some point, size will win generally, and this is a massive size. You take a look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers are just crazy. This is not a war that should have happened. This is a war that would have never happened if I were president. It's so sad. Millions of people are dead. Many, many soldiers. Last month they lost 27,000 soldiers and some people from missiles being launched into Kiev and other places. But what a sad thing for humanity. This doesn't affect us. Our country is no longer paying any money. It was just Biden gave him $350 billion so stupidly. And, if he wouldn't have given it, maybe something else would have happened. But Putin had no respect for Biden.
I mean, let's be real. The only reason why Ukraine lasted so long is because of, foreign intervention, U.S. help, NATO help, and that's about it. If it wasn't for those two guys helping or us helping and NATO helping, Ukraine would have fell a long time ago, or they'd have gave up a long time ago. And it'd probably been for the best of them. Well, for the best for them. And I know people are saying, well, they're a sovereign country and all this good stuff. And trust me, I understand what you guys are saying. But yeah, when a superpower comes down on them, there isn't really too much we can do. And especially if it's Russia. And if you're expecting us to get into a nuclear war for Ukraine, you guys are idiots.
And he had no respect for Zelensky, didn't like Zelensky. They really hate each other. And part of the problem is they hate each other really a lot, And it's very hard for them to try and make a deal. It's harder than most. I settled 8 wars. And I would have said, this is the 9th. This would have been the easiest one, I would have said, or one of the easier ones. I mean, I settled one that was going on for 36 years. I settled Pakistan and India. I settled so many wars. I'm very proud of it. And I do it pretty routinely, pretty easily. It's not hard for me to do. It's what I do. I make deals. This one is tough. One of the reasons is the level of hatred between Putin and Zelensky is tremendous.
And you're right. You're not spending money, but you are spending your time and your energy on this.
I want to stop saving. I want to stop seeing people killed.
If this deal, if Zelensky rejects this deal, is there a timeline? Is there a point at which you say, okay?
Well, he's going to have to get on the ball and start accepting things. When you're losing.
I mean, yeah, let's not be delusional about it. When you're losing this war, it's a bit delusional to sit there and try to wait for a better deal that you cannot fight for, that you can't force yourself. And that's what Zelensky's doing. The most delusional thing of trying to get a better deal when he has no leverage here. And he's hoping that Europe can give him a bit of leverage. But trust me, not even Europe is willing to back this man up to take Russia off the Ukrainian land, which is now about to become de facto Russia, because I doubt Putin's going to accept the reforms. Putin's pretty much saying that he wants that land and he wants Ukraine to turn around and get off that if they still want to keep Ukrainian land. Because if this keeps on going, Russia's just going to take more and more land and Ukraine will cease to exist. So let's just go ahead and stop it now and just well, Europe got to take the L, Ukraine got to take the L, and we got to take the lesson to not support a proxy war against a superpower.
Because you're losing.
Do you think Ukraine has lost this war?
Well, they've lost territory long before I got here. They lost the whole strip of seafront, big seafront.
Facts.
I mean, you look at the maps. I've been here for 10 months, but you go back 10 months and take a look. They lost that whole strip. It's now a bigger strip. It's a wider strip, but they lost a lot of land, and it's very good land, too, that they lost. You certainly wouldn't say it's a victory. I could show you a chart. It's a lot of land they lost.
It's a lot of land. I think
Think of it. If our election wasn't rigged, it was a rigged election. Now everyone knows it. It's going to come out over the next couple of months too, loud and clear, because we have all the information here. But if the election wasn't rigged and stolen, you wouldn't even be talking about Ukraine right now.
The resounding consensus in Europe right now is that they want to keep supporting Ukraine until they can win this war.
Which is delusional, which is a fairy tale. Well, yes, a fairy tale fantasy. They literally, and that's a problem with Europe. They literally think that, well, if we just send enough weapons, just keep giving them all the weapons and they'll eventually win. The problem is, though, you're not trying to give Ukraine what they really need, which is missiles. Because here's the problem. Russia has all the missiles in the world. Ukraine only has drones. Russia got all the drones in the world. Ukraine still only has drones. They were trying to beg Europe, America for missiles, but nobody wanted to give Zelensky $1 million missiles to shoot down $40 drones. Nobody wants to do that. I'm sorry. It's not like logically sound. It's not ethically sound either to keep supporting this war if the main objective is to stop the killing, is to save Ukrainian lives and stop I'm gonna be real with you, stop the wasteful killing of Ukrainian men.
Until they drop, yeah.
Well, is that realistic in your view?
I mean, look, then they should support it. Europe I'm friendly with all of them. I mean, I like all of them. I have no real enemy. I've had a couple that I didn't like over the years. I actually like the current crew. I like them a lot. But and I know them very well. I know them really well. Some are friends, some are okay. I know the good leaders, I know the bad leaders, I know the smart ones, I know the stupid ones. You got some real stupid ones too. But they're not doing a good job. Europe is not doing a good job in many ways. They're not doing a good job.
I want to ask
They
you
talk
about
too
that.
much, and they're not producing. We're talking about Ukraine. They talk, but they don't produce. And the war just keeps going on and on. I mean, 4 years now it's been going on, long before I got here. This is not my war. This is Joe Biden's war. And in terms of America, it's a very sad thing. And the only reason I really care about it is because I hate to see young, beautiful people being killed. That's largely why I got involved. I mean,
and let's be real though. One, war's not good for business, and we want to tap into the rare earth minerals that's in Ukraine, and we also want to work with the resource and energy potential that Russia has, like trillions of dollars of resources and energy. So instead of just trying to sit there and make Russia the big bad wolf of the world, why not work with Russia? Let Russia help our economy. We help their economy. We also help Ukraine. We build. We get into some investments in Ukraine, and everybody walks away happy. Okay, I'm gonna be real with you. Mainly the U.S. and Russia walks away happy, and I'm gonna be real with you. Who are we first? Exactly, America first. So let's get down with that.
if you look at the Congo and Rwanda, that's been going on. 14 million people at least killed. Nobody has any idea how many, but killed. Machetes, a lot of machete killings. Vicious. But if you look at the wars, and some of the wars that really were going to be millions and millions of people. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of people by getting involved with the, stopping India and Pakistan from fighting.
I do want to go back to Europe for a moment, though, because you said they're not doing a lot of things right in your view. And just
they can't be doing right because look what's happened.
Well, your administration just released a new national security strategy that sent shockwaves throughout Europe. The strategy says a key pillar of American foreign policy should be, quote, cultivating resistance to Europe's current trajectory within European nations.
Facts.
How much should European leaders prepare for your administration?
No, let's be real, because Europe, it's going in the wrong direction, especially with the EU and NATO, and especially with all the EU countries having these reckless legal immigration like policies. And then, of course, them being so well, I mean, they have PDS. I mean, Putin derangement syndrome. Like, for some reason, they really want to get into it with Putin. And the only reason they want to do this is because they believe that America is going to back them up. If we're not in NATO, trust me, Europe calms the fuck down and they start realizing that, okay, maybe we need to chill on Russia since we don't got a superpower to back us up, because they're talking real reckless only because they believe that we'll back them up. And that's what Trump's new doctrine is saying. Look, we're not going to back you guys up just because you don't like Putin, okay? You better play nice with him, or let's be real, we're going to leave him to you. And let's be also real. We need to focus on our hemisphere, remove all the Russian influence, Iranian influence, Chinese influence out of our hemisphere so we can make our side of the world work for us. It's all about hemispherical dominance instead of trying to be a global military power. I'm for that. And I'm for leaving NATO, letting EU and NATO deal with Russia if they still even holds together if we leave. And we'll see where that goes, because trust me, getting involved in these countries' problems is not what the forefathers envisioned.
To push to reshape the continent's politics.
Well, Europe is a different place.
What do you mean
And
by
if
that?
it keeps going the way it's going, Europe will not be, in my opinion, many of those countries will not be viable countries any longer. Their immigration policy is a disaster. What they're doing with immigration is a disaster. We had a disaster coming, but I was able to stop it. You know, we have no people coming through our borders now, 0, 7 months. I mean, who would believe 0? We went from millions of people, in some cases, millions of people a month, but millions of people to no people.
That's not what Europe looks like.
The opposite. Yeah, I know Europe, they're coming in from all parts of the world, not just the Middle East. They're coming in from the Congo, tremendous numbers of people coming from the Congo. And even worse, they're coming from prisons of the Congo and many other countries. And for some reason, they want to be politically correct, which actually I think is the opposite of politically correct. But they want to be politically correct, and they don't want to send them back to where they came from.
I mean, you could say due to Europe's or a lot of European countries' legal immigration policies, they're kind of self-destructing and they're destroying their own culture. So, you know how people like to complain about, oh, there's a Muslim problem in the USA. No, trust me, there's not. Seeing that they're only 1% to 2% of the population and a population of 350 million, trust me, they're not a problem. And they don't even hold that much power. But now the Muslims in the UK, that is a bit more concerning, because seeing that they have a less dense population, seeing that, you know, since it's a smaller population, they're letting in all these Muslims, it is becoming more of a problem. They are starting to hold high positions in government. So, and here's the thing, I have no problem with Muslims. But if the topic is Muslims, we're talking about where they got the most influence in, trust me, they got way more influence in the UK than in the US. Actually, very small influence in the US.
And Europe is, if you take a look at Paris, it's a much different place. I loved Paris. It's a much different place than it was. If you take a look at London, you have a mayor named Khan. He's a horrible mayor. He's an incompetent mayor, but he's a horrible, vicious, disgusting mayor. I think he's done a terrible job. London's a different place. I love London. I love London. And I hate to see it happen. You know, my roots are in Europe, as you know.
Right.
And I hate to see that happen. This is one of the great places in the world, and they're allowing people just to come in and unchecked, unvetted.
So how involved are you going to get? I mean, could we see you getting involved in European
I want to run the
for
United
example?
States. I don't want to run Europe.
Oh, guys, do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support, but let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, guys.
I'm involved in Europe very much.
Might you endorse
NATO
candidates?
calls me daddy. I mean, I have a lot to say about it. Look, I raised, you know, the GDP from 2% to 5%. The 2% they weren't paying and the 5% they are paying. And they're paying it because when we send things over, NATO pays for it. And I assume they give it to Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a lot better position when it comes to our support of Ukraine, because we're not just giving them money and weapons no more. We told NATO to increase their military defense spending from 2 to 5%, and that extra percentage in military spending that, well, they will be spending is going to be towards U.S. weaponry. So yes, they're pretty much increasing their spending to buy more weapons from us. And you know what? I mean, I may not agree with still supporting this war in this way, but I mean, it's better than just giving the weapons away. At least we're making money off it.
But Europe is being destroyed.
Would you consider getting involved in some of those elections to put in leaders that you think are better suited?
Well, I've endorsed people, but I've endorsed people that a lot of Europeans don't like. I've endorsed Viktor Orban. I endorsed, go back to South America, Latin America, South America, Milei,
Bukele,
Argentina. He was losing in the election, and I endorsed him, and he won in a landslide.
Yeah, with Viktor Orban, beyond endorsing, he recently said that you promised him access to U.S.-backed financial shield worth up to $20 billion. Is that right?
No, I didn't promise him, but he certainly asked for it. But
Would you
what
consider
I-
giving that to him?
I just think he's doing a very good job in a different sense on immigration. His country's landlocked. You know, he's got a different kind of a country. He doesn't have the sea, so he can't have ships coming in with energy. He's got a big pipe coming in from Russia. They've had it for a long time. It's a different situation he's got.
So would you consider
But
some financial
has
assistance there?
He's really gotten right is the immigration, because he allows nobody in his country. And Poland has done a very good job in that respect too. But most European nations, they're decaying. They're decaying.
You can imagine some leaders in Europe are a little freaked out by what your posture is, and
No,
European.
they should be freaked out by what they're doing to their countries. They're destroying their countries.
Well,
And they're-
European Council
and they're
President.
people I like. Look, they're people I like. I get along with them. You know that. But they can't let this happen. And it gets to a point where you can't really correct it. There'll be a point, and it's very close to that
And
point.
what will that mean?
It will mean that they're no longer going to be strong nations.
Does
Or
that mean
they'll
they won't be allies
Or they'll
anymore?
be, well, it depends, you know, it depends. They'll change their ideology, obviously, because the people coming in have a totally different ideology. But it's going to make them much weaker. They'll be much weaker, and they'll be much different.
And what will that mean for our
I mean,
relationship
look at
with
your mayor
them?
of London. He's a disaster. He's a disaster. He's got a
Now, hold on. Just to quickly explain this Argentina, $20 to $40 billion in a currency swap, because a lot of people don't understand it. And a lot of Dems like to try to poke fun and be like, oh, I thought it was America first. What about 40 billion to Argentina? We're not actually giving $40 billion to Argentina. I would hope you look into this and read this. Actually, it's more of a loan that we're actually making money off of. And of course, a currency swap. So the U.S. Treasury Department under Secretary Scott Bessent has announced that the U.S. will provide a $20 billion currency swap line with Argentina's central bank. The swap line means that the U.S. will exchange dollars for Argentina pesos or provide dollars in some form to help Argentina's currency reserve and stabilization efforts. Like, okay, this move was framed as a credit line or swap than a direct grant or unconditional bailout. So you guys have it confused with a grant or an unconditional bailout when it is actually a credit line that we make money off them from. Yes, off the interest, just like the banks do.
totally different ideology of what he's supposed to have. And he gets elected because so many people have come in and they vote for him now because, it's like, it's one of those things. But I hate what's happened to London, and I hate what's happened to Paris. I hate when I see it.
Sir, it's sometimes hard to tell when you say these things. Do you intend to send kind of a message of tough love to our allies to push them to make reforms? Or do you think that many of them are just weak and you don't really want to be allies with them?
I think they're weak, but I also think that they want to be so politically correct. I think they don't know what to do. Europe doesn't know what to do. They don't know what to do on trade either. I mean, I look at a lot of the trade, situation that's going on over there. It's a little bit dangerous, but Europe, they want to be politically correct, and it makes them weak. That's what makes them weak.
It
Yeah, they are
sounds
too
like you
woke.
want to see some pretty massive changes.
Well, I
in
think they
Europe.
should get the people out. They can't.
I'm gonna be honest with you, like slowly, like more of these European companies are becoming more dystopian or becoming way more authoritarian. I mean, look at the speech laws there. People are getting locked up for what they post on Facebook, X. I mean, Instagram. If you start talking about trans too crazy and you're a European citizen, not European, but you're a UK citizen, you can go to jail for that. I mean, and all over Europe, there's laws just like it. They have speech laws, they have digital ID, they have all types of authoritarian ways to control their citizens. It's absolutely crazy in Europe, and they do need to turn around. But it does seem like the people of Europe, well, are okay with the authoritarian regimes that they're under. And I mean, and the governments or the world leaders that they vote in that just put, well, immigrants over them. And not all the European countries are doing this. They got Hungary and Poland who stood strong against the influence of the EU to try to force, foreign migrants in there. But let's be honest, they did the smart move, and a really smart move, and only invited in Christian Ukrainians instead of inviting in a bunch of Muslims from countries that they have no idea what the culture is over there. No idea at all.
Into the country illegally.
I want to ask about
You know,
NATO.
if you take a look at Sweden, so Sweden was known as the safest country in Europe, one of the safest countries.
Don't get it twisted, though. European countries are beautiful countries. Don't get it twisted. You can still go over there and have a good time. It's just I wouldn't want to be a citizen of those countries.
In the world. Now it's known as a very unsafe, well, pretty unsafe country. It's not even believable. It's a whole different country. Sweden.
And Sweden most recently joined NATO. One of the things that the national security strategy says is that the U.S. should work toward ending the perception and preventing the reality of NATO as a perpetually expanding alliance. Are there countries in NATO that you think shouldn't be in the alliance?
Well,
Sweden,
I mean, there
for
are
example?
countries that are difficult for NATO. Not that they shouldn't be. I think it's good to have them. Turkey's an example. Erdogan, he's a friend of mine. Whenever they have a problem with Erdogan, they ask me to call because they can't speak to him. He's a tough cookie. I actually like him a lot. I think actually, look, he's built a strong country, strong military, but they have a hard time dealing with him, and they ask me to call him. And I do call him, and I always work it out with him. He and I work it out really quickly. We had some people that he released that were taken and going through years and years of court cases and everything else. And I said, you got to release him. And he did. He is, very different than a lot of the other leaders, but they have a hard time with him. But, they shouldn't really have a hard time.
Should NATO stop accepting new members? Should NATO end where it is now?
Well, there aren't that many left when you get right down to it.
Honestly,
there aren't that many left. It was always, long before Putin, it was an understanding that Ukraine would not be going into NATO. This was long before Putin, in all fairness.
yeah, there was a verbal agreement that NATO would remain neutral and never go into NATO. We told the Russian leaders that verbally. We didn't sign on it, but we did tell them verbally, damn near spit in the hand and took a handshake. And we kind of told them, look, we'll go ahead and keep NATO here. We won't put NATO on your border. And here's the thing, though, because Putin, we kind of already put NATO on his border multiple times, especially when it came to Finland. So it is kind of funny how Ukraine was the last straw. I do get the Dems argument when they say that. Well, we took all the other ones on this border. What makes Ukraine so special? I don't know, but we sure did F around and find out. We sure F around and found out, did we not? Because their NATO was trying to bring Ukraine in. Everybody in America damn near saying they're a sovereign country. They should be able to join NATO without realizing that, I'm gonna be honest with you, if a superpower say they can't join NATO and they're willing to put boots on the ground over it, we should probably listen to them. Unless we're willing to put boots on the ground over that.
And now they pushed, when Zelensky first went in and first met Putin, he said, I want two things. I want Crimea back, and we're going to be a member of NATO. He didn't say it in a very nice way either. He's a great salesman. I call him P.T. Barnum. You know who P.T. Barnum was, right?
I do.
One of the greatest on earth. He could sell any product at any time. That was his expression. I can sell any product at any time. It was true. He said, doesn't matter whether it works or not. But he's P.T. Barnum. He got crooked Joe Biden to give him $350 billion. And look what it got. Got him about 25% of his country is missing. And in all fairness to Biden, Obama gave away Crimea.
That all happened in 2014.
Obama,
Yeah.
because Crimea was the heart. I'm a real estate person at heart, right? I'm very good at real estate. And every time I look at that map, I said, "Oh, this Crimea is so."
Yeah, but due to the color revolution that we pulled off in Ukraine, that's that's one of the main reasons why Russia took Crimea. That's one of the main reasons, is because they had a pro-Russian leader to an anti-Russian leader, which is Zelensky. And well, Putin kind of seen into the future, and he's like, well, I see where this is going, and he just annexed Crimea. So yeah, it started off in 2014. This is when, I'll be real with you, this is when this conflict really started off. Was it 2014, not 2022?
Beautiful. Wow. It's surrounded on 4 sides by ocean. It's only got a little piece of land to get to, to the main. Well, I mean, Crimea is massive, but it connects the part of Ukraine that we talk about now
Right.
through a small little jetty. It's 4 sides of ocean in the warmest part. It's got the best weather, best everything. And I know you are Ukrainian and you know Ukraine very well. And Obama forced them to give up Crimea. That was I remember.
Yeah, because Obama even said, look, bro, I'm not going to put boots on the ground for Ukraine. I'm not going to go into war with Russia just to take back Crimea. Even Obama sat there and was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Now, the Biden administration came in and said, they're locked and loaded to go, but they're not going to put boots on the ground. But they were willing to throw a whole lot of money behind Ukraine. And that didn't even work. Even with I'm going to be real with you, basically with multiple countries throwing in money behind Ukraine, we still couldn't buy them a win.
Remember when it happened, but I wasn't involved like I am now. To the knowledge that I have now, I have great knowledge of Ukraine now. I have great knowledge of
really
many
this
countries.
conflict began back in 2014. People forget, long before the invasion of a few years ago.
Well, when this conflict really began, though, it was simmering for years. But when Obama gave up Crimea, that was a big thing.
I do want to ask.
Do you agree with that? That was a big piece to give up. You are of Ukrainian descent.
That was a major, I remember, when I first moved to the United States, a lot of people didn't know what Ukraine even was. And it was in 2014 that people suddenly started to realize how significant geopolitically that area really is.
I just say, from the standpoint of beauty, weather, everything, Crimea is the warmest. It's just got such great potential. And Obama forced them. Obama did this. This is not Biden. Well, maybe he was involved, but I doubt it. He probably didn't know too much then either. He was never the brightest bulb. But, Obama gave away. He made them give it away.
Well, I do think
Yeah, Biden, let's be real. Biden didn't make the smartest moves when it came to Ukraine. Honestly, if Biden wanted to actually end the war, he wouldn't have supported Zelensky. But instead, it did seem like, well, Biden or the Biden administration wanted war with Ukraine or wanted some type of conflict with Ukraine. So they proxied the war at the risk of hundreds of Ukrainian lives. And they just said, F it. It's not our soldiers going out there. We're just throwing money. We're just throwing money into it that we could be using to help all the American citizens. But we're going to go ahead and throw $300 billion into a losing war, though. I mean, when you think about it like that, it is pretty upsetting.
Your approach to Europe is so different than any of your predecessors. And
I just want to see a strong Europe.
And this national security strategy, says a lot about the changes that you want.
But you have to understand, here's my approach to Europe. I want to see a strong Europe. When they allow millions of people to pour into their countries, many of these people are committing tremendous crimes. And again, look at Sweden. I'm not knocking Sweden. I love Sweden. I love the people of Sweden. But they go from a crime-free country to a country that has a lot of crime now. Look at Germany. Germany was crime-free, and Angela made 2 big mistakes: immigration and energy. But those 2 are beauties.
Well, one country that is pleased with the change in strategy from the United States is Russia. A Kremlin spokesperson.
Well, guys, you got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys. All right, let's keep going.
Person called the strategy document a, quote, positive step, and said the adjustments they're seeing are, quote, largely consistent with Moscow's vision. Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, I think he'd like to see a weak Europe. And so, to be honest with you, he's getting that. That has nothing to do with me.
But he thinks the changes that you're making and what you laid out in your vision for Europe is what Moscow wants to see.
I have no vision for Europe. All I want to see is a strong Europe. Look, I have a vision for the United States, America first. It's make America great again. I do explain to Europe because I think, I'm supposed to be a very smart person. I have eyes, I have ears, I have knowledge, I have vast knowledge. I see what's happening. I get reports that you will never see. And I think it's horrible what's happening to Europe. I think it's endangering Europe as we know it. Europe could be a whole different place.
Your impact.
And I think the European people should do something about it.
Your impact does stretch far beyond Europe. I want to talk about another area where you're making your mark, which is in Venezuela. You've said that Nicolas Maduro's days are numbered and that the U.S. could soon strike Venezuelan territory. Could we see American troops on the ground in Venezuela?
I don't comment on that. I wouldn't say that one way or the other. I can say this, that he sent us millions of people, many from prisons, many drug dealers, and drug lords, mental institution, people in mental institutions. He sent them into our country where we had a very stupid president. You know that. Biden's a low IQ person, especially nowadays. I mean, he was low IQ 30 years ago, but he was especially low IQ now. And what he did to our country is not good. Tren de Aragua, the gangs, one of the meanest gangs in the world.
You've locked down
Let me be real with you. Even Obama said, don't underestimate Biden's ability to fuck things up. I mean, that's coming straight out of Obama's mouth.
the border
No,
now.
he sent a lot of these people. He also sends in a lot of drugs. So we'll see how it all works out.
So
But
do you
I
wanna
can't talk about
So how
strategy.
far would you go to take Maduro out of office?
I don't want to say that, but
But you want to see him out?
his days are numbered.
Can you rule out an American ground invasion?
I don't
of
want to
Venezuela?
rule in or out. I don't talk about it. Why would I talk to you, an extremely unfriendly publication, if you want to call it Politico, that got $8 million from Obama to keep it afloat? Why would I do that? Why would I talk about that to Politico? I mean, I'm doing this because you picked me as a man
Well,
for
I'm
Europe, and I
asking
thought it was,
for,
I thought it was
for
appropriate.
transparency for their American people because a lot of folks are,
Transparency.
well, people are
I'll tell you,
wondering
I am
what
the
is,
most transparent politician maybe in the world.
a lot of
okay?
folks are wondering what our goals are in
Sure, but
Venezuela.
I don't want to talk to you about military strategy.
Well, may I ask then what,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. We'll find that out, Trump, in about 3 days when the Epstein Transparency Act comes out. And if there are heavily redacted pages, you're sorry, but you're going to have to take that one back. But if there aren't, then okay, let's go. Most transparent president ever. We'll see come the 18th when, you know, the 30 days expire for the DOJ to release all the Epstein lists. I mean, not Epstein lists, but all the Epstein files and all the papers that they have and photos, emails, all of it.
what is your goal in Venezuela? What do you want to see with the actions that you're taking?
Well, one goal is I want the people of Venezuela to be treated well. I want the people of Venezuela, many of whom live in the United States, to be respected. I mean, they were tremendous to me. They voted for me 94% or something. I mean, it's incredible. I own a big project, Doral. It's a great place, Doral Country
Been there.
Club. Yeah, and it's a very large place, beautiful place, right?
Oh, guys, you got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements? Feel happy to send in the $2 super chat. I'll be able to read out loud and engage with it. Other than that, double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support.
In the middle of, they call it Little Venezuela. And I got to know the Venezuelan people very well because of that. I've owned it for a long time. And they're unbelievable people. The area is such a successful area. Everybody is successful. It's amazing. They say if a house is for sale for more than 3 days, there's something wrong. I mean, a house, if somebody wants to sell the house, they sell it in just a matter of moments. People love the area. And I got to know the people well. They're incredible people. And they were treated horribly by Maduro.
And are those the kind of immigrants that you do want to see in America?
Well, they certainly contribute. Yeah, I want to see people. Yeah, I want to see people that contribute. I don't want to see Somalia. I don't want to see a woman that marries her brother to get in. And
I kind of hate when Trump says this because look, now the White House did release a marriage certificate of Ilhan Omar, which was a bit frustrating because one, it didn't prove that Ilhan Omar married her cousin. It just proved that Ilhan Omar married this man at some time. And the real story is that, look, Ilhan Omar didn't marry her cousin. If you actually look, I'm not cousin, but marry her brother. If you actually look into the guy that they're saying that she married, that they're saying that is her brother, he came from the UK. He's actually a British citizen. Bro was born in the UK. Wasn't even born in the United States. Wasn't even born in Somalia. He was a UK citizen. So when people try to sit there and say, "Oh, that's her brother," no, it's not. No, it's just some random Somali guy that she got with, and I believe had kids with as well. The real story is that she's been married 3 times. 3 times. First husband, Somalian, didn't really work out. Second husband, I believe, what was it? Yeah, he was also Somalian, had some kids with him, was cheating on that man with her soon-to-be third husband, Tim, and then and let's be real, while the divorce was going on, she was already consummating the marriage with this man, Tim, or pretty much already getting ready to get married to this white guy, Tim, who she was cheating. She was pretty much cheating with this guy, Tim, on her Somalian second husband. And like I said, we're talking about this is her third marriage, guys. Third marriage. That's the real story, not her supposedly marrying her brother. Because like I said, you can track that person all the way back to the UK.
Then becomes a congressman, does nothing but complain. All she does is complain, complain, complain. And yet her country's a mess. You know, it's one of the worst in the world. Let her go back, fix up her own country. Somalia, yeah, and I was right about it. You know, I started complaining about Somalia long before the scandal. No,
that is one problem also with Ilhan Omar. She's very vociferous about her support of the Somalian people, but I'm like, sweetheart, you're a representative for the American people, not just the Somalian people, but the American people. And if we got to go in there and break up what you guys got going on in Dearborn and Minneapolis because you don't understand that you're in America or you're for the American people, then so be it. Because I'm be honest with you, I have honestly no problem with there being Muslim communities, but I don't like when I see these guys come out and be like, oh, well, I'm a sheriff in this city, a policeman in this city, but I only pull up for Somalian people. I'm a Somalian politician. I'm representing the American people, but I'm saying I'm only representing the Somalian people. Yet, and you need to step down and become like maybe a councilman in that area and not a congresswoman. Like, to be quite honest.
The horrible things they're doing to Minnesota, it's incredible. They have an incompetent governor there too. The Democrats are running some bad ships.
Speaking of ships, I do want to talk about the boat strikes. The defense secretary, should he testify, Pete Hegseth, under oath before Congress about that controversial second strike on the alleged drug boat on
I don't care if he does.
2nd?
He can if he wants. I don't care.
Do you think he should?
I don't care. I would say do it if you want. Pete.
Have
He's
you-
doing a great job.
Have you watched the
He
video?
was stopping. I watched everything. Yeah, I watch everything. I see a lot of things.
And do you believe that
It's
that
not
second
pretty,
strike
but-
was
but-
necessary?
Well, it looked like they were trying to turn back over the boat, but I don't get involved in that. That's up to them. The admiral that did that was
The admiral that did it came out with two details. One, he did consult a military lawyer before he commenced the second strike. So yes, basically JAG or ability to military lawyers and attorneys, he was already given counsel. He already given counsel before he did that second strike. And then the other thing he said was that the two people that they end up obliterating in the second strike wasn't trying to call for backup. So those are the two things that the admiral gave to us. I know, I mean, one doesn't really have to do with the other, but that's what was said.
is a highly respected, as you know, a highly respected man. And we save 25,000 people every time we knock out a boat. On average, they kill 25,000 Americans. So, you know, I don't like doing that, but the drugs coming in through the sea are down by 92%. And I'm trying to figure out the 8%. Who are they? Nobody wants to drive boats to America loaded up with drugs anymore.
Well, I do want to
And
ask
we're going to hit
because
them on land very soon, too.
almost all the illicit fentanyl in the United States is actually produced in Mexico using precursor chemicals from China, according to the DEA. And Venezuela isn't a significant source or transit country for fentanyl. It barely appears on the DEA's trafficking assessments.
Which is true. Like when it comes to fentanyl, yeah, Venezuela barely produces any fentanyl. But I'll tell you what it does produce: cocaine, heroin, I mean, probably even marijuana. And then, of course, they still have humans to smuggle and humans to sex traffic. So there's always that as well. Let's not pretend like Venezuela is completely useless. Like, come on now. It's not just about fentanyl. We're tackling all drugs. And seeing that the Venezuela is part of one of the cartel's main hub of operation, it only makes sense. it only makes sense to make sure that they stop transporting these drugs or to cut off their transportation line.
They do send lots of drugs. Those boats come in largely from Venezuela, so I would say that's a significant. And you can see the.
And let me tell you the truth about Venezuela, because a lot of people will say, oh, said it's all about the oil and all that good stuff. And you know what? There is some truth to that. But really, it's just about overall dominance over Venezuela. It being the, well, really, you have the most oil, a very resource rich country, probably I'm gonna be real with you, the most resource rich country in Latin America. We want that. We're willing to take it, apparently. I mean, we already stolen oil, right? We just stole that shit. Like, it's us now. So it does seem like we want complete dominance over Venezuela, seeing that it is the resource-rich capital of Latin America. And we're going to take China's influence out of it. We're going to take Russia's influence out of it. We're going to take Iran's influence out of it. And we're going to have complete dominance in that area. That's what the Trump doctrine is saying. It's all about hemispherical power. And the key to that is Venezuela. Now, do I agree with getting into Venezuela over hemispherical power? No, I'm anti-war. But does seem to be the direction that the Trump administration is going in.
Drugs. You can see these bags all over the boat. I mean, just bags.
So if
and
it's
bags
about
and
drugs,
bags.
would you consider?
But let me tell you what they do. They send really, really bad people into our country, and they've done it better than anybody else. They emptied their prisons into our country, and these prisoners are seriously tough. They entered, all of their prisons have been emptied into the United States of America. Murderers, 11,888
So is
murderers.
this about making sure
Oh, wait a
Maduro
minute.
sees justice then?
11,888 murderers were entered into our country. And Stupid Joe took all those people, and now we're getting them out. We're finding them.
No, the problem with Maduro that we can't trust him not to work. Let's be real. If Maduro wasn't working with China, Russia, and Iran, we'd be cool with him. Honestly, we'd actually let him stay in power regardless of him stealing the election. We'd have been cool. So the problem is that the problem isn't even that Maduro stole the election. Like, honestly, that's just a headline. That's a headline for you guys. The real story is that, well, he has too much foreign influence, way too much. He's too tied in with China. He's too tied in with Russia. He's too tied in with Iran. And they all help them kind of skirt around us and try to move away from us. So we're trying to get rid of that influence. Like I said, it's all about hemispherical influence. And we're willing to move all of these influences outside of Venezuela with military force.
Found a lot of them, and we're getting them out, or we're putting them in jail. Some are so dangerous and so bad that we don't want to put them back to their country because they'll find a way to get back in. But these are stone cold murderers. But every time we knock out a boat, we save 25,000 American lives.
So would you consider doing something similar with Mexico and Colombia that are even more responsible for fentanyl trafficking into the U.S.?
Yep, I would.
You pardoned former Honduran President Juan.
Oh, trust me. Yes, for sure. Trust me. Like, once Venezuela is locked down, or if we can get Maduro to leave and get that young lady in there who's promising to pretty much give us all the resources and all that good stuff and open up Venezuela for economic opportunity for the people of Venezuela and America, of course. So, yeah, we want that lady in there because if you actually looked up videos, we're talking about the young lady that won the Nobel Peace Prize, Maria Corina, forgot her last name, but I know her first name is Maria. So we want that lady to get in there because if you actually look at her speeches, she's already said she's going to give the oil, the resources, all to America, work with America to get prosperity to the Venezuelan people. And that could definitely work out. But the problem is getting her in there, getting Maduro out when the military supports Maduro and is willing to fight for Maduro.
Orlando Hernandez and let him out of prison, even though he was convicted in a massive international drug trafficking scheme. How is that zero tolerance on drug trafficking?
Well, I don't know him, and I know very little about him, other than people said it was like a Obama-Biden type setup where he was set up. He was the president of the country. The country deals in drugs like probably you could say that about every country. And because he was the president, they gave him like 45 years in prison. And there are many people fighting for Honduras, very good people that I know, and they think he was treated horribly, and they asked me to do it, and I said, I'll do it.
Do you think that could send the wrong message to
No,
drug
I don't
dealers?
think so. Look, I think, when you weaponize government, they've weaponized their government just like they did over here. I'm one of the people that survived, but they weaponized the government. We had the most weaponized government. Our election was rigged. They went after me. I was impeached twice. I was indicted. They indicted me. I came out good. Here we are in the White House. Things are looking nice, but they were vicious, and they are vicious. They're sick people.
We've talked a lot about foreign policy. You've spent a ton of your first year focused on those conflicts around the world. And that has led to some concerns, even from your own supporters, that there hasn't been enough focus on some of the issues here at home. I know that this week you're going back out on the trail, giving me flashbacks of covering your rallies here. You're hitting the road to talk about the economy. I wonder, sir, what grade would you give your economy right now?
Before I answer that, let me just tell you something. I've watched stupid people like,
oh no, 10 months in, only 1 year in, we're asking him about, well, his economy. I mean, man, we're still dealing from the crazy inflation and price increase from under Biden. This man Trump, the Biden lost us $3,000 in buying power. Trump has only gotten us back $1,200. So the fact that he was able to do that within this time, I got to give him his kudos on that. And the fact that the Dems are rushing the affordability crisis or affordability when they're the ones that run the most unaffordable cities, most unaffordable states. And then under their leadership, under President Joe Biden, we've seen the biggest unaffordability crisis ever, with prices skyrocketing 20% across the board, along with, well, a 20% increase in the money supply. You know, yeah, well, I guess it was transitory.
like Marjorie Trader Green, or some people call her Taylor Green. Some people call her Taylor Brown, because green sometimes turns to brown, which isn't nice.
I'm weak.
But I've watched her say that he spends too much time on foreign. Well, by doing that, and first of all, it doesn't take a lot of time. I made one trip. I brought back trillions of dollars on that one trip.
No, like, here's the thing, and I kind of agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene when she said he's spending too much time like outside the United States and not focusing on domestic policies. But I could also see how Trump could spin that around and be like, well, you know how all these foreign policies, I'm making these trade deals. You don't see how this is all benefiting America. Like, you don't really see how me going out there getting these countries to invest. Don't you see how that benefits America, trying to stop the Ukrainian war so we can start working with Ukraine and Russia? Don't you see how that would benefit America? So I can see where he can spin that. But trust me, for optics, it would be better if you stayed here and focus on affordability for the next 6 months into the midterms, give some improvement on that. Then you can go back to foreign policy. But let's focus on domestic policy first.
I stopped in Japan. I stopped in South Korea. I met with President Xi and ended.
You went
what
to
could
the
have been
Middle
a big
East. I was on
problem.
that trip with you.
Went to the Middle East. I brought back $3 trillion from the Middle East. I sold many Boeing airplanes on that trip, like 300. When I go on a trip, I only have one place in mind. It's the United States. So when, people with low IQs like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's a low IQ person. When she says it's too, but she was a loyal person until I wasn't able to answer her phone calls because I'm just too busy to answer people's phone calls. You can't call me 3 times a day. And it's just, not appropriate when I have, over 200 congressmen, 53 senators, 212 countries. All of these people are calling, and a family. Actually, the family suffers. It's harder for me to call back the family. But when you think of what I've done, remember rare earth and the problem with magnets and all of these things that was going to shut down the whole world. I worked it out with President Xi. We have a good relationship. I worked it out with President Xi.
So
Very
that
favorable to the United States.
does come back to the
Oh,
economy
wait a
here in
minute.
the U.S., right?
You made a statement, though, that I devote too much time to outside of the United States. I've made a fortune for the United States by focusing
And to
on
be
things
clear, that's
outside.
not my statement. That's just what some of your supporters and some others have said.
Well, then, I can't imagine their supporters, because I made a fortune and spend very little time. All of my time is spent here. Most of my time is spent here. But when I do go outside, it's only going outside for here. For instance, settling and solving the problem with China, that has a huge effect in the United States.
True.
Making deals with Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, all of these countries, you're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars. So I guess I could say, let's not deal with anybody. We wouldn't have much of a country.
Well,
we
so
wouldn't have
that's
much of an economy.
I mean, I got to give him that one. Like, we do have to deal with other countries to make sure that we do have prosperity in the United States, and China is one of them. Settling the trade deficit, or trying to get China to practice fair trade practices, then yeah, that's pretty damn important. Trying to make sure that we bring some of our manufacturing over from China into the United States. That's pretty important. Making sure that China doesn't have complete dominance over rare earth mineral refinery. That's why we're over here trying to work with Australia. That's pretty important.
We make a lot of money with these countries. Now, in the past, these countries all ripped us off. If you go back during Biden, if you go back during Obama, they were ripping us off.
Oh, guys, you got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate support, or just send a gift if you just want to support. All right, let's get right back to it.
Like no country's ever been ripped off. That's why we owe $38 trillion. I mean, we owe it for a reason. But just remember, when we had a problem with China very recently, I was able to work that out. You don't work that out by not talking to people, by not answering with the magnets, with the rare earth. It was a big
and you're
problem.
looking to have an impact here back home.
Well,
so,
no impact. We would have been shut down. China would have been shut down. The whole world would have been shut down.
Sir,
So wait a minute. So some people would say, don't focus on anything outside of our border. I like that too. But I've made trillions and trillions of dollars and solved problems and solved wars. Do you know most of the wars that I solved were solved sitting behind the Oval Office desk on a telephone?
Mhm.
I think those are worthy phone calls. Even if they didn't impact us to save millions of lives from another country, and if I can do that easily because I have an ability, are pretty good.
But I do want to talk about the economy, sir, here at home. And I wonder what grade you would give
A
your
plus.
economy. A plus.
Yeah, A plus, 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 plus.
Well, it's interesting because I talked to a supporter of yours. Her name is Melanie from Westmoreland County, PA, and she loves you. She gave you overall an A plus plus grade. But here's what she said about the economy. She said, quote, groceries, utility, insurance, and the basic cost of running small business keep rising faster than wages. She also says that not enough is being done. Mr. President, this is one of your supporters.
Okay, good. And I love her because you said I got an A plus and everything, I guess. I don't know. But
she's still worried about the economy.
But what you have to understand, the word affordability. I inherited a mess.
And let's be real, like nobody's really here's the craziest part. It's not really the economy we're worried about because GDP is up 3-4%. Like the stock market is seeing record highs. The problem is affordability. We do need to start making things more affordable in the United States, start cutting back regulations so some of these businesses can drop their prices. I mean, that would help. Trying to raise wages to outpace inflation, that would help. I mean, there's a lot of things we could do right now. I remember I was playing a video with that had Steven Crowder pretty much explaining how we can make housing more affordable. And these are things that could be done today. So trust me, Trump can get some stuff done when it comes to affordability, especially on housing.
Inherited a total mess. Prices were at an all-time high. When I came in, prices are coming down substantially. Look at energy. You and I discussed before the interview, energy. Energy has come down incredibly. When energy comes down, everything, because it's so much bigger than any other subject, but energy has come down incredibly. Prices are all coming down. It's been 10 months. It's amazing what we've done. If you think of gasoline a gallon, they had it at $4.50, almost $5. You go to some of the states, you had it at $6. We hit
Well, the national average for gas, I believe, is at like $2.90 now. I think like a week ago it was at like $3.06, $3, but now it's at like $2.90, $2.95.
States 2 days ago, $1.99 a gallon. When that happens, everything comes down. Now, everything is coming down. With beef, I've just opened that up where beef is going to start coming down pretty substantially.
Would you consider more carve-outs on other goods that Americans find too expensive?
Well, some carve-outs, you mean from tariffs?
From tariffs, yeah, like coffee, like
Yeah,
bananas.
Sure, and I've done that
beef.
already with coffee.
Mhm.
They're very small carve-outs. It's not a big deal. But let me tell you about the real economy. We've got $18 trillion coming into our country. Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years, and he was heading south. Our country was falling apart. 18 trillion because of tariffs. $18 trillion is.
And shout out to my man Daniel Castro for starting us off. Appreciate the support, my man. Shout out my man Daniel Castro. He says, hey, yo, what's going on, my man Castro?
Is coming into our country. I think because of tariffs and November 5th election, if you want to know the truth. But
So would you rule out reducing tariffs on any more goods?
on some, and then some I'll increase tariffs. Because you know what happens is because of tariffs, all of the car companies are coming back. You know, we lost 58% of the automobile business. We had a monopoly on the world. We had everything. And because we had presidents that either weren't smart or didn't have business sense, or their people didn't do a good job, they could have kept that. We could have kept the chip market. We had 100% of the chip market, Intel, all of these guys. There's a thing. They came in to see me, Intel. They needed something to be done by the government. I said, I'm going to do it, but I think you have to give us 10% of your company.
Which is way better than it is giving these guys money to build, like what Biden did with the Chips Manufacturing Act. Well, what he was trying to do with the CHIPS Act was pretty much give these guys billions of dollars to come build in America. What Trump did was, one, he put tariffs on their chips and semiconductors and said, if you don't build here in America, you're just going to get tariffed out the ass. And then two, he also says, well, and also I'll take 10% in your company and you're just going to make money for the American people. Because like I said, America makes that 10% of the investment, not Donald Trump, like some people like to say. So pretty much the 10% that America will be making from its investment in Intel would go back to, well, the Treasury. So yes, we actually make money off this instead of just giving money to these chip manufacturing companies. Like, it's kind of like a China strategy, just picking winners and losers and just putting billions of dollars behind them.
You know what happened? We made $40 billion on that deal. The price went through the roof. The United States, in about 10 minutes, I made $40 billion. Nobody talks about that.
I want to ask about interest rates because a lot of Americans agree with you that they're too high. You're going to pick a new Fed chair soon. Is it a litmus test that the new chair lower interest rates immediately?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this guy should too, but I think he's a combination of not a smart person. And
no, to be quite honest, people were telling Powell to cut rates since the summer. Since the summer, everybody was telling Powell to cut rates. And if he'd have done it, we'd have probably avoided a lot of, well, I'm gonna be real with you, job losses and all that good stuff. That's what they're actually putting on Powell. Now, Powell came out and said that the reason why unemployment is actually going up is due to the immigration policies and the crackdown on immigration. So a lot of these companies are reporting open positions and not a lot of employment because, well, we didn't took a lot of the illegals out of the workforce. And yes, that's literally came out of the Fed chair's mouth when it came to unemployment. Now, when he says inflation, he says, well, he's also cutting it due to try to cool down and keep inflation at a certain level as well. So it is one of the main reasons why the Fed chair is cutting, and one because he also forecasting a bad economic turnout if we do not cut rates. So let's see where this leads us. Even though, like I said, they call him too late Powell for a reason, because we've been asking for these rate cuts since the summer.
Doesn't like Trump. But
so
the
you've
reason he
spoken
doesn't
with your
like
potential.
Trump, well, the reason he doesn't like Trump is because I hit him hard because he's doing a bad job.
So you've talked to your potential candidates.
We're fighting through interest rates. Look, he's a negative, but this country is doing so well. Again, we have $18 trillion being invested. Car companies are moving back that left us years ago.
Mm-hmm.
AI is coming in at levels never seen before. Factories are opening up all over the country. $18 trillion of investment in the United States. Again, with Biden, we would have lost $10 trillion, okay? 18, that's a record. You know what's the second record? China. China had $2 trillion. That's a lot, $2 trillion. We have $18 trillion. And that ultimately, you know what it reduces itself to? Jobs. You can have jobs like you've never seen in the United States.
Before I let you
and
go.
by the way, and prices are coming down. Just to talk about affordability, the Democrats love to say affordability, but then they never talk about it. They're the ones that gave us the high prices. I'm the one that's bringing them down.
One of the biggest issues on affordability right now is healthcare, and Obamacare subsidies are set to expire in a couple of weeks, which will lead to higher prices for millions of Americans. I do wonder, Mr. President.
But you said the word Obamacare. Obamacare
Correct.
was conceived by Barack Hussein Obama, who knew nothing about healthcare.
But we're in the situation we're in now.
Now, before we get into this topic right here, I do want to take it back to where Trump was talking about the manufacturing companies coming back. So we're talking about EV and battery manufacturing. So Toyota is going to build a battery plant in Liberty, North Carolina. And it is nearly 14 billion EV/hybrid battery plant. Construction phase has largely completed and products start being shoveled out around. Actually, no, it's already starting, I believe. Nope. It started about last month on November 12th was this EV battery factory that Toyota's built. And then we have Hyundai, which is also going to be bringing in a battery plant. And well, actually, the battery plant actually has already been erected. This is the battery plant that they shut down because of all the immigrants that was in there. So they're pretty much reopening that, of course, with the promise to hire more American citizens. Then we got Ford expanding one of their manufacturing plants at the tune of $1 billion, which is going to add about 3,000 jobs. So, yeah, when people try to say that there isn't really anything going on or there isn't manufacturing being brought back, that's a complete lie. You can literally look this up, and there's a list of companies either building factories or expanding their factories.
One of the biggest issues on affordability right now is healthcare, and Obamacare subsidies are set to expire in a couple of weeks, which will lead to higher prices for millions of Americans. I do wonder, Mr. President.
But you said the word Obamacare. Obamacare
Correct.
was conceived by Barack Hussein Obama, who knew nothing about healthcare.
But we're in the situation we're in now where those subsidies will expire. So I wonder, is letting those subsidies expire acceptable to you? And should Americans...
What I want on healthcare is very simple. Obamacare was set up for insurance companies to become rich, okay? That was why they, in my opinion, I think the Democrats did it for that reason. Do you know that insurance company stocks have gone up 16, 17, 1,800% over a short period of time? They've been paid trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars. And what I'm saying is very simple. I don't want to pay them anything. No money for the insurance companies. Sorry, fellas, I know them all. No money for the insurance companies. I want to pay the money directly to the people and let the people get their own
Congress
health care.
hasn't put that
But
on
you
the
know who's
floor
fighting?
yet.
And let's be honest, though, like, yeah, the way the Obamacare subsidies have been working, it hasn't been working for the American people. It's actually been working for the insurance companies, and they're the ones that make money while still driving up their premiums. And this is what the Dems won't tell you. Even with the Obamacare, even with the Obama healthcare subsidies, well, healthcare premiums are going to go up 18 to 30%, but without them, they go up, they triple and double. So trust me, it's still a problem that even if we give these people or we give them the Obama healthcare subsidies, guess what? Insurance premiums are still going to go up to 18 to 30%, and it still may be some unaffordable to some Americans still. So yeah, we do need to come up with a better strategy than just giving billions of dollars to insurance companies.
And that the Democrats.
But in the meantime, 2 weeks, Mr. President, people will see those premiums go up. So will you tell Congress to extend those Obamacare subsidies while you work
I don't
out
know.
another
I'm going to
deal?
have to say, I'd like to get better health care. I'd like to have people buy their own health care, get much better health care. And what I want to do, very simple, I want to give the money to the people, not to the insurance
So right
companies.
now, people are buying their holiday presents. They're planning.
Look, don't be dramatic.
No.
Don't be
They're
dramatic.
planning their
what I
budgets
want
for
to do.
next year,
Here's what I
Mr.
want. I
President.
know. And what I want to do is help them.
So will
I
their
wanna
premiums
give-
go up?
I'm giving them money. I want to give the money to the people to buy their own health care. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. The Democrats don't want to do that. They want the insurance companies to continue to make a fortune.
Yep.
The Democrats are owned by the insurance companies.
I mean, and that's a fact. I mean, Elizabeth Warren is probably the best example of being owned by the insurance companies. And the funny thing is, like, she lobbies for, well, I'm gonna be real with you. They lobby to her and she lobbies for them all damn day. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that, the insurance companies don't have their hands on the right, but it does seem like they have their hands more on the left, especially, well, since the left is the one who kind of came up with Obamacare. And let's be real, Obamacare, it ain't really help out. It ain't really help out too much on affordability. Of course, providing care, that's great. But it was all about providing affordable health care. And it's not really giving that to the American people. But I'll tell you what it is giving. Bell, it's giving millions and billions of dollars to insurance companies and their portfolio, but their stocks went up over 1,000%. So, I mean, Dems, what do you have to say about that? I thought we was about, attacking the rich and not letting them take advantage of the American people. But that's exactly what you're letting them do with the Obama healthcare subsidies.
They want the insurance companies to get these trillions of dollars. We spent trillions of dollars goes to the insurance companies. I want that money to go to the people and let the people go out and buy their own health care. It works like magic. But you know who doesn't want it? The Democrats, because they're corrupt people, because they're totally owned and bought by the insurance companies.
So at this point, most likely premiums will go up and you will find another plan?
Your premiums could go down if you did what I want to do. I want to give the money. Ready? I want to give the people better health insurance for less money. The people will get
And I'd
the
have told her
money.
this. I mean, yeah, but you know, it's also not going to take time. Like that 18 and 30% you guys will be paying year over year if you keep giving these insurance companies these subsidies. Like every year, premiums will go up that 18 to 30% if we keep doing this. And here's the thing. If you guys knew this was so important, why did you set this to expire on the 2025? Like, I mean, I'm talking, then this was an Inflationary Reduction Act. They snuck this in there during that to give these Obamacare healthcare subsidies, these extended ones, or these enhanced ones, actually. They were the ones that set this to expire in 2025. It was so important, then why didn't you extend them out further to not leave it at the hands of the Republicans? Like, this is honestly a Democrat-made crisis at this point.
And they're going to buy the health insurance that they want.
I want to talk about one last really important issue.
You know that works really well, right? And you know the Democrats don't want to do it because they want the insurance companies to make all the money.
Immigration, sir, critical to your agenda. I want to ask about what the Pope has said, which is he has called your immigration actions inhumane. Do you take that seriously from the
I
Pope?
haven't seen that.
Nope.
I mean, maybe he has. I mean, he also didn't like the wall. You know, they didn't like the
I
wall.
wouldn't have took it serious. I'd have been like, look, Pope, stay on your side over there. All right, dog. I get that you're an American, but you're from Chicago. You're most likely a liberal, and you don't really understand the atrocities that our immigration policies have brought down upon us under Biden. You don't understand it. And that's the problem with Dems. A lot of them don't even understand what's really going on in America when it comes to these illegal immigrants. They don't even understand what's going on in America when it comes to the H-1B visas. They're still misguided on that. So I really don't listen to any Dems when they talk about immigration policy. Well, I'll listen to them, but honestly, I'm not taking what they're saying seriously, to be quite honest with you, because one, they don't talk about fixing the problem, and they only talk about, well, making the problem worse. And then they're going to tell you to your face how it's best for you. It's absolutely insane.
Wall, the wall
Do you
turned
plan
out
to
be
meet or
great.
speak
I
with
built
him?
a wall that stopped people from flooding, and I didn't put up the wall. I built the wall. The wall. Nobody talks about that. You know, it's interesting. 2 years ago, a year ago, under Biden, this country was out of control. Millions of people pouring through, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. And now we have nobody coming in. We have them coming in only legally. They have to go through a legal process. Nobody ever talks about that anymore. They should talk about that. But I haven't heard any statements from the Pope. I'm sure he's a lovely man. His brother's a lovely man.
Yeah,
You know,
you've
his
spoken to
brother.
him.
You know, his brother is Sirius MAGA, lives in Florida. He's
So
like,
will you meet with the other brother, with the Pope?
I already met with the brother. He
But
came
with the Pope, will you meet with him
Sure,
or speak with him?
Why not?
One more question on immigration. The Supreme Court is going to hear a case that could redefine who is here legally
Yeah.
in the United States. I'm talking about the birthright citizenship
Yeah.
case. If the court sides with you and ends birthright citizenship, are you going to try to take away citizenship from people who already have it?
I honestly haven't thought of that, but I will tell you this. The case is very interesting because that case was meant for the babies of slaves. And if you look at the dates on the case, it was exactly having to do with the Civil War. That case was not meant for some rich person coming from another country, putting a foot in our country, and all of a sudden their whole family becomes, United States citizens. That case is all about slaves, the babies of slaves. And
Yeah, and then there was another case heard out by the Supreme Court when it came to the kids of legal immigrants. So yes, we already had two cases. There's of course the original birthright citizenship when it came to slaves, and then there was the second debate on it. I believe it was this Asian immigrant, and it was the debate on, well, are legal immigrants children American citizens? And the Supreme Court already voted yes. So we already have two things. For slaves and for legal immigrants, birthright citizenship applies for. We never had the Supreme Court decide on if the children of illegal immigrants are U.S. citizens. We never decided that. That was never written, but it has been written that the children of legal immigrants are U.S. citizens. So that's the debate that we're having, and we're not trying to revoke all birthright citizenship because that's the BS that's been going around. That they're going to take away the legal immigration birthright citizenship too. No, you haven't really heard the case. Then they're only talking about illegals and tourists, of course.
it was a good reason for doing it, and that's all it was about. And people now are understanding it. It's been explained to them, and I think the court understands it too. That would be a devastating decision if we lose that case.
That court, you've put
Because
three-
our country cannot afford to house tens of millions of people that came in through birthright citizenship.
Mm.
When that happened, that was meant for the babies of slaves. And if you look at the exact dates that it was passed, it all had to do with the Civil War and the ending of the Civil War. It's that little period of time, and people now are starting to understand
Do
it.
you want to see one of the justices on the Supreme Court retire so you can put in one more before the end of your term?
Well, the Democrats
I mean,
want to flood the court. You know
Clarence
that.
Thomas is 77, Samuel
Yeah.
Alito is 75. Do you want one more on there?
Well, I hope they stay because I think they're fantastic.
Mhm.
Okay, both of those men are fantastic.
Before I let you go, I want to ask.
I will say this: the Democrats want to pack the court. They want to have 21 justices.
Which is
That would
true.
be a terrible thing for this country.
The future of the Republican Party. Like, I watched you on all of your campaigns pull together, especially in this last one, an unprecedented coalition to win the presidency. You brought in so many new voters to the Republican Party. You chipped away at some of the core bases of the Democratic Party. Is there anyone else in the GOP that can energize the coalition the way you did?
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. You never know until this.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. I don't see JD Vance doing it. I don't see Marco Rubio doing it. These are just not personalities that I see really taking on the mantle for MAGA or the GOP. To be quite honest with you, I don't really see too much leaders like Trump. Maybe, you know what? I'll be comfortable with maybe Thomas Massey or something like that. But nah, anybody else? Not really.
Tested. You know, it's like you jump in the water, you can swim or you can't. Some people can swim and some people can't. You never know. You have to see. I think we have a very good bench. I must tell. We have a lot of good people. We have a great cabinet. I have a really great cabinet, better than my first cabinet. I had some very good people in my first cabinet, but this cabinet, you know, I have much more experience. When I first came to Washington, it was interesting. I didn't know anything about any of the people. I was a very successful guy from New York City, real estate and other things. I mean, I had a great.
Oh, guys, let's make sure to support the stream by sending any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support. And let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. So let's make sure we keep the stream running by super chatting in or just sending a GIF, either one.
Show and a lot of things, but basically real estate.
And be having it all.
And by the way, I'm fixing up the White House, making it beautiful. I'm doing a great ballroom that they've tried to do for 150 years and all of that stuff. But you never know. Your question is such an interesting question. You never really know until they get tested. I hope so.
Oh, and shout out Nikki for sending the clapping seals for 250 jewels. Appreciate the support, sis. Hey, shout out her.
Mr. President, thank you
Thank you.
so much
See you.
for joining the conversation. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now let's get over to Face the Nation and let's see what his economic advisor got to say and more. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Face the Nation. We're joined now by the director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett. Good to have you back.
It's great to be back.
So people are holiday shopping. They're aware of prices. The president said this week prices are coming down tremendously. The latest data, though, from the Consumer Price Index up 3% year over year. Personal Consumption Index is up 2.8% year over year. What data is he looking at? What's your benchmark?
Right. Well, one of the things that if you saw his presentation in Pennsylvania, is he put up a bunch of charts, which he loves to do, where he went through the individual items that have we've already sort of made a bunch of progress on. And so, for example, under Joe Biden, prescription drugs were up 9%. So far this year, they're down 0.6%. Gasoline is way down. It was like the highest ever under Biden.
Eggs,
And so
I was talking about eggs.
yeah, he was talking about eggs. And so I think the way to think about inflation, of course, is that there are.
Hey, and shout out to my man Devilfish. He says, "Set is the shit." Hey, I appreciate that. I'm a little bit more humble, but I do appreciate that, my friend. Shout out to my man Devilfish. Appreciate the support, my brother.
Like micro effects, like the time that we had the avian flu affecting drug prices, and then macro effects, which is runaway spending, big deficits, and then an accommodative Fed policy. And I think
now
that
tariffs adding to some price increases according to the Fed chair.
Well, I think that the tariff evidence is mixed, but the point is that we've got deficit going way down.
Because and that is the craziest thing that they try to do. Well, you know, prices are up because of tariffs. No, that's not true. If prices was up because of tariffs, they would be up at least 5 to 10% across the board. And if you look at the consumer price index, prices have only been going up by 0.2 to 0.3% month over month. So if you're telling me that we're only taking in maybe like less than 1% of tariffs, I mean, is that really eating tariffs, guy? Are we really the ones paying it then if we're only taking in less than 1%? Because that's according to the Consumer Price Index. If you look across the board, that's what it is. So, yeah, we're not the ones paying the tariffs. Actually, it's either the supplier or the importer that's the one eating the tariffs mainly.
So right now it's looking like the deficit for this year will be $600 billion lower than it was last year. That really helps lower inflation. We've got the trade deficit cut in half from last year. And so all of these things are things that should continue to move us towards the Fed target of 2%.
Companies aren't necessarily going to bring items down, though, in terms of pricing, right? I mean,
Yeah, I know. And that's why we got to raise wages. And let's be real, they're not going to bring prices down because of inflation. Like, due to the crazy inflation that happened under Biden, which of 20%, no, that price increase doesn't go anywhere. We have to outpace it with inflation. What we can do is bring inflation down even further to where the price increase slows to basically barely anything, and while wages steady increase and outpace it, that's what we can do. But if you're hoping that the 20% increase in price is just going to go away, I'm sorry, but that's not how inflation works.
the president told the Wall Street Journal he didn't know when all of this money, quote, is going to kick in. I think he was talking to business investment and tariffs and help voters. All I can do is my job. When do you anticipate voters will feel this positive impact?
Right. Well, it's definitely the case that, and you guys have covered a lot, that consumer sentiment right now is lower than anyone would like. But, we find that very often happens during a government shutdown when
Well, the
everybody's
last
really
administration
upset.
called that the vibe session, right?
No, but
the data is good.
but
People
what
feel bad.
Yeah, but what's going to
Same
happen
thing,
is,
you're
what's
saying.
going to happen? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that people are going to see the high growth. Growth is 4%. Income growth is up about $1,200 this year. People look at their wallets and see they're doing better, which is why we had the biggest Black Friday ever and so on. And so I think that
But that's more
the
higher
sentiment,
incomes.
No. Actually, no. What she's talking about is higher income that's been purchasing more, during the holidays. But what he's also talking about is the fact that, we lost $3,000 of buying power under Biden. This has been calculated already. And we've only gained back about 1,200 to 1,500. Like, yeah, we're still in the hole from the Biden administration when it comes to affordability and buying power.
Sentiment will catch up with the reality. Under Joe Biden, the fact is that real purchasing power dropped by about $3,000 so far this year. It's up by about $1,200 per family, and the money that we're talking about is like real money. So for groceries, it went from $400 a month to $525 a month under Biden. So that's like an extra more than $1,000 a year you have to spend on groceries. It's down this year for us for the grocery package, but it's still got a lot of room to grow or to go.
A lot more to go. And the president reduced some tariffs on some of those grocery items with an eye towards that.
Yeah, if we don't make it here, then pretty much we don't tariff it.
Let me ask you, you mentioned gas. Oil prices globally are relatively low. We saw this Coast Guard interdiction with military forces.
Oh, and just to tackle this argument, now people think that Trump not really walking back, but lowering tariffs on certain grocery products, they thought that, that's proof that tariffs are a tax on the consumer. No, it's not actually. Actually, what he could be doing is lowering tariffs so these guys can buy more product. They can, spend that money buying more product, thus being able to bring down their price because they have a bigger supply of that product. I mean, it's simple economics and let's be real, economics can work out anyway, but it's simple economics when you just state it out like that. Like, well, of course, they got more money. They can buy more supply or more of that product, thus lowering their price. About as easy as that.
Boarding and seizing this vessel off the coast of Venezuela. Do you feel you have the leeway there, pricing wise, to conduct more seizures or even a blockade of oil from Venezuela without it hurting?
Yeah, well, I'm not a foreign policy guy, so like what we do with Venezuela and whether we blockade is up to the president and Marco Rubio. But I could say
but
that
you've got the leeway, right?
What's been going on is there's been kind of a black market for oil amongst sort of this sanctioned countries. And what we're doing is we're shutting that black market down.
Yep.
Whether that affects prices outside of the sanctioned countries is kind of an open question. Probably not.
You don't think it will?
No, because they're already kind of on the ropes, these countries. They're only getting oil when they get like sort of black fleets to sneak in and give them the oil. And that's what we're trying to slow down.
Okay. I want to ask you about the Fed decision. The Federal Open Market Committee said job gains have slowed this year. We also saw the survey from the Business Roundtable. I'm sure you saw it. They asked CEOs what they expect to happen, and they anticipate employment will decrease in 2026 rather than increase. Are you concerned about a hiring slowdown?
The same Fed said that they were more bullish on growth for next year, right? And so I think that we're at a
But on the
circumstance.
jobs picture.
But on the jobs picture, we're going to get the data next week, and so maybe
Yeah.
next Sunday I'll come back and we'll talk about it because we've got 2 months of data coming out on Tuesday.
Yeah, we got 2 months of data coming out on Tuesday. Right now, the current job numbers I believe we got for October. In October, we added about 119,000 non-farm payroll jobs. So yeah, we added about 100K plus jobs in October. We're gonna see for November. Yeah, we're gonna see for November. So we're gonna see what happens with those when those job numbers come out, because due to the government shutdown, that was one of the reasons why we didn't get the job numbers in the inflation report.
And we'll get a clearer picture because right now we just have some very difficult to pin down surveys. Like the gold standard for this will be really the household survey, which we don't even get for October.
But these are CEOs. They're the people who would be doing the hiring, right? And they're saying we're not doing it.
But they don't have the broad perspective that we'll get when we get the big data release next week.
And you trust that big data?
I trust the household survey especially, and sadly we won't have one for October, but we're going to get one for November, and that's going to be really important for thinking about where the job market is.
Employment is one of the things that the Fed watches closely. And we heard again from the president that you were on this short list to be potentially the next Fed chair, although he was.
Yeah, the Fed chair did mention employment, but with mainstream media or left-leaning media is not going to tell you is that when he mentioned employment, he said it's usually because of the immigration crackdown. And that's what the Dems don't want to sit there and admit that. Yeah, a lot of our employment numbers were inflated by illegal immigrants. And when you take those illegal immigrants out and you leave it open for American citizens, you actually see the results. That yes, there were a lot of illegal immigrants in the market to the point where when we start cracking down on these guys, it really brought up unemployment by a whole 1%. Not 1%. I'm sorry, but a whole 0.2%. Yeah, 0.2. So that goes to show you how much illegals we really had working in our workforce. It goes to show when even the Fed got to sit there and admit that, yeah, the only reason why unemployment is kind of looking the way it is because we're cracking down on illegal immigrants.
Was conducting interviews this week. He said you and Hoover's Kevin Warsh are at the top of the list. On Friday, the president was asked how big of a role he wants to personally play in future Fed interest rate decisions. Take a listen.
And remember, the job numbers goes off house surveys that they send, like, hey, yo, you got a job, you're working, are you employed? And it also goes to the surveys that they send to companies, like how many people do you have employed? Are you up? Are you down? This is how they get the numbers. I would hope you know that.
I think I certainly should have a role in talking to whoever the head of the Fed is, or the Fed. I don't think that, in the old days it used to happen. Nowadays it's sort of, they think it shouldn't happen. But I've done great. I've made a lot of money. I've been very successful. I think my voice should be heard.
As Fed chair, how frequently would you consult with the president when he says he wants his voice heard?
Well, I'm right now the top economic advisor for the president, and I talk about almost everything with him almost every day. I've certainly talked about monetary policy. I think he has very strong and well-founded views about what we ought to do. But in the end, the job of the Fed is to be independent and to work with the group of people that are on the board of governors at the FOMC to drive a group consensus on where interest rates should be, and to do so, basically with the guidance of the Fed chair. But in the end, it's a committee that votes. And I'd be happy to talk to the president every day, until both of us are dead, because it's so much fun to talk.
Even if
I were Fed chair, or if I wasn't Fed chair, and I would hope that Kevin Warsh would be talking to the president as well if he were Fed chair.
And voice should be heard is going to be.
Every Fed chair talks to lots and lots of
the other
market
members
experts.
of the voting members, or
excuse me,
would the president's voice have equal weighting to the voting members?
No, he would have no weight. It's just his opinion matters if it's good, if it's based on data. And then if you go to the committee and you say, well, the president made this argument, and that's a really sound argument, I think. What do you think? If they reject it, then they'll vote in a different way.
Understood. Well, we'll be watching to see what happens. Kevin Hassett.
Great to be
Thanks
here.
as always. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
We go now to Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy. He joins us this morning from Baton Rouge. Good morning to you, Senator.
Good morning, Margaret.
So your healthcare bill gives Americans up to $1,500 in tax-free accounts to spend on healthcare rather than extend these expiring ACA subsidies. On Thursday, your proposal failed 51 to 48, as did the Democratic proposal. So that means it looks like those receiving ACA premium subsidies will see their costs go up 114%.
Possibly.
Bottom line here, did Republicans simply wait too long to come up with
Whoa, the Republicans, sis, let's be 100. Why did the Democrats set this to end on 2025? Like, let's be real. They set this up for political reasons. Why didn't the Inflation Reduction Act and the Democrat Party set these subsidies to expire at 2025, knowing damn well, if they expire, interest rate would triple and double? They knew this. So to sit there and say the Republicans were too slow, I mean, you guys were working on the status quo that wasn't working for the American people. Like, what do you mean too late? Y'all didn't even do anything.
healthcare alternative?
Well, first, Margaret, let's just kind of recast the question. We've got to do something for affordability for the people on the exchanges. And I would say that the only thing the Democrats would accept was something that would decrease the premiums. But if a family has a $6,000 out of pocket before they get into the strength of the insurance plan, then frankly, the policy is catastrophic. It brings profit to the insurance company, but not benefit to the patient. So I would argue that it actually is, there has to be a meeting of the minds between Democrats and Republicans. Let's acknowledge you've got to put cash in the patient's pocket to pay the out-of-pocket. I would be willing to do a short-term extension of the premium tax credits for those people with higher premiums if they will concede that we've got to do something for the $6,000 out-of-pocket. I think there's a deal to be had here.
Damn.
We need to push for that deal.
So you want to make sure that the average deductible is less than $6,000, is what I just heard you say there. And you're open to an
Absolutely. The net deductible, if you will, that
Okay.
$1,500 is per person. Give me a couple, for people over 50. Give me a couple in their 50s with two children, 18 and 19. They would get $5,000 in an account, in their purse, pocketbook, you name it, in their pocket to pay the out-of-pocket for the insurance. Now, the insurance plan for that couple would be $6,000 deductible. So you end up decreasing the net deductible by doing this. That makes the policy actually functional for them. If the child has a sprained ankle you bring to the urgent care, you can pay the bill, not kind of come for it out of your own pocket. By the way, I'm told that about 40% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account. That kind of puts into relief why you need to have something in their pocket to pay the out-of-pocket.
So I know the president has said that he likes the concept of your plan, but why didn't the White House put its shoulder behind this before Thursday? Why didn't they whip votes for you, for your Republican colleagues?
Because there's a bunch of Dems and even Republicans. Like I said, it's on both sides, bro. The influence of the pharmaceutical company or the influence of the healthcare insurance companies, let's be honest, they're on both sides. They tell both sides, yo, no, we don't want this. You want the subsidy money to come to us. So you go out there, because we lobby your ass to fight for us. So go out there and vote no for the people getting this damn money and make sure it comes to us. This is what the insurance companies are telling their politicians. So yes, this is what I mean by it happens on both sides. Yes, this is a great idea. This is a good thing for the American people, but it's not so good for the insurance companies. And who's protecting the insurance companies' interests right now? Well, damn, Dems. Well, damn. Mostly Dems and a few Republicans.
Crossed the aisle and voted with Democrats on their proposal.
All four of those voted for our proposal too. And I think that shows you that there is interest in finding something which addresses both the critical problem of the out-of-pocket
But is the White House behind you on this? Like, are they helping you?
Well, it certainly seems like it.
You want this up for another vote?
For sure.
Their initial plan had elements of what I am speaking about, helping people with that deductible. So simply put, yes, the White House is there. But if you notice, our problem was not on the Republican side. Our problem was on the Democratic side. So what I'm saying is let's just meet together. As a physician, I can tell you that deductible, the patient comes, she's stressed. She can't get the procedure, the x-ray, the whatever, because of her $6,000 deductible. Let's just meet. Let's address her concerns. And then this Republican would be willing to do something on a short-term extension of the premium tax credits, if that's what it takes to get the deal, to help those folks with the more expensive premium, but also helping everybody with their deductible.
Do you need?
And that's fair. He's pretty much saying, like, look, bro, we'll let you, serve your insurance overlord, your corporate insurance overlords. We'll let you serve them, but only for a limited time. You still got to somewhat work for the people. Like, he's being pretty damn reasonable, to be quite honest. He's like, bro, we'll give you the extension, but you got to hear us out on this. Like, you got to at least admit that your plan is failing, and we'll extend the failing plan for now, but we got to come to an agreement that we got to get something better. And you just can't sit there and shill for the insurance companies forever.
More White House help on this? And sir, you're running out of time here. Do you really think you can get this done before January 1st?
Our problem is not with Republicans. Our problem has been with Democrats. But of course, they may say that about us. So what I am kind of searching for is a deal in which both have their concerns addressed. If you do that and you put this in place, you really have until the end of like March to get it done. Because with these kind of accounts that people have money in, they just save the receipts, they submit them, and they get reimbursed. It happens, this is what we do in my family. We have a flexible spending account.
Yeah.
And so we can get this done. And I think we can meet the concerns both about the out-of-pocket, but also about the premium.
I also want to ask you about what's happening with the FDA right now. CBS has confirmed that there are no ongoing safety studies into the abortion drug mifepristone. This was despite the Trump administration saying they were going to conduct one. And anti-abortion groups want this review to take place. I saw a letter the FDA commissioner sent to you last week claiming they are reviewing the evidence. Do you believe him? And if not, what are you doing about it?
I had a conversation with the commissioner this past week. It seems as if it's taken a long time to get that study up and going, which suggests to me that it's not a priority. For the pro-life community, this should be a priority. And if we're going to make America healthy again, this seems like, my gosh, should be top priority. So there is, I am disappointed, as well as others are disappointed by the way this is being slow walked. I think it just needs to happen. We need to have the evidence out there. If you want to reassure American people about something which is really top of mind, this is where they should be going.
So the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists said that mifepristone is safe and effective and that there are side effects in less than 1% of patients. With that data point in place, why isn't the White House pressing the FDA commissioner to make this happen? There's some suggestion in reporting that it is for political concerns due to impact on the upcoming midterm races. Is this politically motivated, the slow walking you say is happening?
You're asking me to look into the kind of motivations of folks with whom I've not had a personal conversation.
Well, did the FDA commissioner say that?
But the FDA commissioner said that they're trying to get the study together, but they've been in office long enough that it could be. And so I think that it's right to be impatient. It's right to demand more. I don't know if the decision starts with the FDA commissioner. You just suggested it starts in the White House. That might be the case. Point being, get it done.
Yeah, low key, just get the study done. Let us know if the abortion drug is safe or not. Like, who cares? Like, look, I ain't the biggest fan of abortion. Trust me. I'm the man of his. Like, look, bro, if it's 4 weeks and you ain't get that situation settled, then you having that baby. That's where I'm at abortion. Anything past that, I think, is unreasonable. But that's just me. But all right, guys, let's get into our guy Rob Reiner, R.I.P. him and his wife, found dead. And the suspect is believed to be their so-called mentally ill son. Actually, I believe he's had a history with mental illness. Well, let's get right into it, and I will be right back.
Breaking overnight, police are investigating now the shocking deaths of legendary director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. Found dead in their Los Angeles home yesterday, the couple was killed in what authorities are calling apparent homicides. In a late night press conference, the LAPD, though, said they are not currently searching for anyone as a suspect, saying at that point they were still seeking a search warrant to carry out a full crime scene investigation there. CNN Stephanie Elam has the very latest. She is near the home in Los Angeles and joins us now. Stephanie, what are you hearing?
Kate, obviously we're looking for so many more answers to so many questions that people have here. And obviously we're not getting them as quickly as people would like. We can see back here behind me, we've got police lights, and down there we can see the investigation where those clear lights are down there in the distance, those white lights. All of this happening here in this tight-knit community of Brentwood, and just a seismic loss, not just for Hollywood, but also for a lot of people outside of this industry as well. When you look at how much the Reiners have contributed to what has produced here in California and in the country. So lots of questions on what has happened here. What we do know, as we heard from the LAPD Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton, is that there are still more steps before we get more answers. Take a listen.
Chief, why are you not exactly looking for a suspect? Are you confident you know who did this?
We have not identified a suspect at this time.
Well, then shouldn't you be looking for one so these neighbors aren't worried about their own lives and their own safety?
Yeah, so at this time, after we determine, so I need everyone to understand something. In order to comply with the legal process, before we do anything here, we have to get a search warrant because there are issues regarding standing at this residence. So as long as those legal requirements are met, we can continue the investigation.
And then keep in mind that it is just after 4 o'clock in the morning here in Los Angeles. So still going to take some time since we were in the overnight, but we do know that the first call came in the afternoon, local time yesterday, about this loss. And we are seeing more and more people come out and speaking about this. But obviously this entire community and the industry as whole are shaken today by this news. Kate?
Yeah, and just talk about that reaction that has been coming in. I mean, just shocking is often an overused word, and this is absolutely a shock.
Yeah, titan of industry is often an overused term, but it really does apply here. I mean, you're talking about a man who shot to fame because of being an actor on All in the Family, who went on thinking he was going to be single and then ended up meeting Michelle, singer, and they got married and were together for over 30 years, both of them working together and having their own projects. And so many of Rob Reiner's movies are quotable. You know, you think of Princess Bride, you can think of lines from that, you can think of All in the Men, you can think of the way people remember his movies, and you're seeing that play out. And so who we've heard from today, I mean, we've heard from the governor of California, Governor.
Man, RIP Rob Reiner, guys. So, you know, keep them in your prayers and all that good stuff. All right, now let's head it back over to the political side of things. Just wanted to give you guys a little short coverage of that. All right.
And you have confidence in the FDA commissioner?
I think the FDA commissioner is working very hard, and I think that in many cases he's receiving directives from on high. I don't know that for sure, but I suspect that's the case.
Okay. Dr. Cassidy, Senator Cassidy, we thank you for your time. We'll be back in a moment. Here's more of our exclusive interview with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. The regime itself has done a number of things. They have revoked TV licenses for journalists to broadcast truthfully. He has jailed journalists. The United Nations says the National Guard targeted political opponents, committed sexual violence, tortured people, and committed other crimes against humanity. So from where you sit, is Maduro stepping down enough, or do you need the entire regime dismantled? In which case, that sounds like a country in collapse.
Yeah.
That's a very good question, because certainly Maduro is the head of the structure, but it's like any other mafia system. You have.
Yeah, so this is Maria Corina Machado. Now, she's the one that we want to put in power in Venezuela. I mean, the main problem about that is, though, that, like I said, the army is backing up Maduro. The police force is backing up Maduro. So getting a bloodless regime change is not possible, especially when you got the general of their army coming out going like, yeah, we're ready to fight U.S. citizens, or I mean, it's not U.S. citizens, but U.S. servicemen. So, yeah, it does look like it would be way easier to deal with Maduro than to try to install this lady in here, to be quite honest.
families or groups that operate and sometimes even compete among each other. There are different degrees in the crimes they have committed. Certainly those that have committed crimes against humanity that have been reported by the fact-finding missions of the United Nations should face justice. Local justice and international justice. There are other members of the regime or the armed forces that have committed lesser crimes. And certainly we will search for justice, not revenge. But this, I'm going to insist, what we're living right now is chaos. Maduro represents chaos.
Oh, shoot. And we can go ahead and get to, $50. We can go ahead and open up the call-in line. We can hear some of the supporters and also some of the naysayers. So let's see if we can hit 50. Right now, we are at 42.
Chaos. We're going to put order.
Understood, but respectfully, you also have acknowledged that the drug cartels are exploiting your country, that Russia is exploiting your country, Iran, Cuba, China. Just yesterday, Vladimir Putin spoke with Maduro and said their strategic partnership is growing. Are you concerned here that Russia is going to shore up support for the military and intelligence?
Well, I'm absolutely convinced that Putin wants the world to think that, especially wants President Trump to think that about that. But I would ask you a question. Do you think Putin has resources to spare at this time, or does he have something that's more urgent for him to invest those resources?
Well, let's be real. Putin has already sent 3 nuclear submarines over there on the coast of Venezuela, and it does look like they might be providing air support, just like we did for Israel during the little conflict with Iran. They look like they'll be providing air support for Venezuela. So if we shoot any rockets over there, it does look like Russia is prepared to shoot them down. I mean, they already have 3 nuclear submarines over there. So what does that tell you, ma'am? What does that tell you?
I mean, helping a regime that it's going to fall apart anyway, regardless of what he does, I don't think it's a priority for him. Nonetheless, I do not underestimate what the residual actors of Chavismo might be planning to do once we are in a transition to democracy. And that will require very efficient actions to isolate and neutralize those threats. And, you know, we've worked very hard to understand what's the true nature of our armed forces right now, identifying those military, which we believe could be supportive of a transition to democracy. And
have they pledged that to you?
Some of them, yes. And we believe that over 80% of our armed forces will join and support the democratic movement once the transition is in place.
So tell me about that transition. What kind of support do you need to keep the country together, to prevent another refugee crisis? And do you have that pledge from the American government now?
We will need a lot of support, advice, information, technology, not only from the United States, also from multilateral organizations, some of which we are already working together.
Now, do you see why we want her in power? Because she's going to give everything to us. Like everything. She's giving away all of Venezuela to us. This is why we want this lady in power. 1, because Maduro works with all of our enemies. And 2, if we get him out and put her in, Venezuela is basically ours. She basically would be a puppet.
Not only in security issues, but
is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'll leave that opinion up to you.
Power supply, food supply. How do we bring, put order in our financial accounts? How do we restructure our debt? How we open markets for international investment and give security to international investment in oil and gas, in infrastructure, critical minerals. I mean, Venezuela is unique in terms of the amount of the natural endowments we have. And, we're located at 3 hours by plane from Florida. So it's hard to think, in this shortening of the supply chains that is in the nearshoring process taking place, a better ally in the region than Venezuela. And at the same time, turning Venezuela from the criminal hub of the Americas into a security shield for the United States and for the rest of the region is a top priority for all. So,
yep. And that's what we're trying to do with, when we're talking about hemispherical power, pretty much settling down in a, let's be real, resource-rich, oil-rich area. and using that as the hub to control all of Latin America is pretty much what we're going for. Like I said, it's about hemispherical dominance. We're going to try to back out of NATO and all that good. We're trying to back out of NATO and distance ourselves from the EU completely. And we're going to leave them to their own devices, because apparently they're getting a bit too trigger happy when they feel like they got the backing of the U.S. military behind them.
You know, we have the plans ready. We have the teams ready. We know what we have to do the first 100 hours and the next 100 days. But most importantly, and I want to insist on this, we have the people.
Would that include U.S. peacekeeping troops or other troops on the ground?
I cannot answer that question right now. I don't think that's the case. There are other countries that have offered support as well in order to strengthen democratic institutions once the government-elect is in place. But that we will have to address that once we have the government-elect in place and put in order, bringing order back to our country. And one thing that you mentioned before about the refugee crisis, it's going to be exactly the contrary. The day Maduro goes, you will see tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan migrants coming back home from the United States and all over the world. I mean, our diaspora is desperate to go back to Venezuela. So even from that perspective, it is a win-win situation to have democracy in Venezuela.
Do you think it is safe for those Venezuelans in America to go back there now? Some temporary protected status was just revoked by the president for more than 500,000 Venezuelans here. Is it safe for them?
Absolutely not. It will be safe once Maduro is gone and every single citizen will be, live in freedom and respect towards the law. We will bring back rule of law. We will liberate our political prisoners, and everybody will be free to speak out what they feel, what they think, what they want for the future, for their own future and their families.
Maria Corina Machado, we thank you for your time today, and we'll be watching.
I thank you, Margaret.
All right, now, well, like I said, praying for her safety. I mean, it'd be better if we could pull it off with her and get her in power instead of having Maduro in power. But right now, it's looking like it'd be best if we just try to make peace with Maduro and see if we can get him to push out all the foreign influence on his own, instead of us just getting rid of him and putting in our own little puppet leader, because that's exactly what she would be to us. Just keeping it real, guys. Just keeping it real, no spin on it or anything. Just let you know what we're actually doing. But all right, now let's get into more problems with this whole Venezuela thing, because since we closed off the airspace, outrageous. JetBlue pilot blames U.S. plane, blame military plane for close call near Venezuela. Let's see what this is going on. Well, let's see what it's all about. Sorry.
There's new audio in this morning after a crazy near mid-air collision. A JetBlue flight leaving the small Caribbean nation of Curacao en route to New York had to abruptly stop its ascent to avoid colliding with a U.S. Air Force plane. The JetBlue pilot spoke to air traffic control basically as this played out. Just listen to this.
We almost had a mid-air collision up here. Traffic passed directly in front of us, within 5 miles of us, maybe 2-3 miles. But it was an air-to-air refueler from the United States Air Force. They don't have their transponder turned on. It's outrageous. We had to stop our climb and actually descend to avoid hitting them.
The flight was near, that JetBlue plane was near Venezuela at the time, which is notable because the incident comes as the U.S. military has stepped up its campaign and presence.
All right, criticism already. JetBlue, what the hell are you doing and flying anywhere near Venezuela? Like, that they're running operations over Venezuela. So what are you even doing near it? Like, can we just, is CNN going to be honest and actually point that out? Like, I get that they were upset that they almost crashed, but what the hell were you even doing near Venezuela when we pretty much shut that airspace down? Even near the airspace is pretty risky.
There amid President Trump's anti-drug trafficking campaign in the Caribbean, and also the attempts to continue to increase pressure on Venezuela's government. JetBlue now says that they've reported the incident to federal authorities. Wow. Joining me right now is CNN transportation analyst Mary Schiavo. Mary, that audio, that back and forth with air traffic control is quite something. What do you make of this?
Well, it was a near collision, and fortunately, the pilots were doing what you're supposed to do: look out the window at all time to see and avoid, even if you're traversing the skies on
Not
instrument flight
really.
rules, as commercial.
I mean, I would think it would be part of like, I don't know, pilot school 101 that, maybe you should stay away from airspaces that the government shut down, especially over a so-called enemy territory. So why would you fly anywhere near an airspace of an enemy nation or territory? Like, really think about how dumb that sounds. And really think about how dumb it sounds for CNN to make that a story as if they weren't low-key looking for problems.
Passenger jets always are. But what this says to me is this rather lukewarm warning that the Federal Aviation Administration put out a couple weeks ago saying avoid Venezuelan airspace is not nearly detailed enough, does not give pilots and airlines enough information.
Bruh.
In this situation.
What's so hard? Lady, are you actually going to act stupid right now? When we say stay out of Venezuelan airspace, that means stay out of Venezuelan airspace, stay away from the area. So if this is all Venezuela right here, like all of Venezuela right here, don't you think it would be smart to just avoid damn near this part of Colombia and this part of Guyana? Like, don't you think it would be smart not to just try to fly over anywhere near Venezuela since we're closing it down? Like, common sense would say so, right? Right.
Is really a disaster waiting to happen, because it's also coming out that there might be another one with a smaller plane that might have also happened at or near the same time. So much more guidance is needed, because there have been many mid-airs in the past with military planes.
From that audio, you hear the pilot say that the Air Force jet did not have its transponder on. Is that surprising? What's the reason to turn that off?
Well, this is.
Shout out to my man Jet. He said it's JetBlue. They are barely one step up from Spirit. Woo. Well, damn. I mean, he's at barely one step up. So yeah, that was pretty stupid of their pilots to fly anywhere near that airspace. And I know somebody in the chat said, like, when did Venezuela become an enemy? I mean, bro, as soon as they started working with Russia, start working with China, Iran. I mean, yeah, sadly, they are influenced by enemies. So therefore, and since we're closing down their airspace, what does that tell you? I know what you're saying, but we said it was about the drug boats. Yeah. And then we released the doctrine and talk about hemispherical power. So now we can all see that was complete BS. But hey, though, at least we're bombing the drug boats. We're stopping it coming into America, while also juggling the fact that we're trying to force regime change in Venezuela.
It's a scenario that we're seeing over and over again. I mean, this was the helicopter at DCA back in January. So they turn it off because they want to be in stealth mode, because it's either their mission, because they don't want to be seen. They literally don't want to be seen by other traffic or others in the air or on the ground, or air traffic control, hostile air traffic control. And it's the same thing here. The warning went out that there would be operations, that there's danger over Venezuela, but I don't think that the warning was specific in saying that there's going to be very large U.S. military aircraft operating with no.
If we close the airspace over Venezuela, isn't that like just all encompassing, like almost every situation? Like, maybe it's dangerous, maybe they're hostile, maybe U.S. running operations over there. If we're just closing down the airspace, like, it's like common sense. I'm not even sure why they're trying to make a story out of this, but I mean, it is what it is. But all right, now let's go over to Miss Rep. Ilhan Omar on Trump's continued attacks on her, because she's just feeling so attacked. Like, poor Ilhan Omar. Poor young lady. Well, now, hold on. Actually, she older than me. But all right, now let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay, we got a lot of stuff going on today. We're following the breaking news stories out of Australia and out of Providence, Rhode Island. But I want to shift for a moment to another important story: the Trump administration's continued crackdown on immigration in America. Recently, President Trump has turned his ire toward the Somali community, particularly those in Minneapolis and the city of in Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis. Beyond targeting Somali Americans broadly, he's aimed many of his attacks directly at the Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who is a Somali refugee herself. This morning, she published an exclusive op-ed for MS Now titled "Trump is Weaponizing Fear Against Me and other immigrants. She described several incidents involving federal agents in Minneapolis, including an aggressive arrest of a Somali man who was a U.S. citizen, which he told agents at the time of his arrest. You can hear the man in the video yelling, "I have an ID."
Hey, shout out to Nurse Terry Irving for going and setting a floating heart for $10. Appreciate the support, Terry.
And bystanders asking the man's name. Watch.
Appreciate it, sir.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
No, let him be detained.
What's your name? What's your name?
Here's the thing. Just let him be detained. Let them prove that he's an American citizen and let it go. Why are you always trying to? Well, here's the problem. When you sit there and you try to crowd around ICE and push him and try to help your homie, you're only making things worse. And you're only going to make your homie get more like recklessly handled. So move out the way. Say he's a U.S. citizen. They'll be like, all right, cool. We'll go check. Be cool with him. I mean, here's the thing. When is ever being a dickhead or being aggressive with cops ever work out? No, but be honest with yourself here. When has that ever fucking worked out? So why are we expecting it to work out now? When have you ever thought that being a dickhead or being aggressive towards a cop was a good idea? When do you ever think that that wasn't going to put you in jail? Think about that. Okay, then. So why not be cool with the ICE guys? Let them know what's going on. They'll most likely be cool with you and be like, all right, cool. We'll go check. And then we'll just bring them right back out once we check. Okay, cool. Everybody sit around. They wait. They sit there and talk. And then boom, they release the homie and it's all good. But when you want to sit there and pull on ICE and act like you're about to try to hurt them or ambush them, what the fuck you think gonna happen? Use some damn common sense and stop acting like victims all the damn time.
What's your name? What's your name?
Congresswoman Omar wrote in her piece that, quote, "This is not immigration enforcement, it's collective punishment. It's state sanctioned."
No, it's immigration enforcement. We're checking to see if he's supposed to be here. They don't know if he's supposed to be here. Once they verify that, they'll let him go. But when you guys want to sit there, crowd around and cause a scene, you're only going to make things worse. When you want to sit there and try to close in on the ICE enforcement and have them have to push you off, you're only making things worse. So that's why I don't blame ICE for how things look. I low-key blame the citizens. For some reason, you guys are trying to make things look bad. You guys are trying to show videos out of context. Just like when you showed the crying lady on the floor being taken in by ICE, who's a U.S. citizen. But what you guys didn't want to show was the fact that, she was in the car with her boyfriend who's an illegal immigrant. And she refused to show identification. But you forgot to tell that part. So I'm sorry, but every video y'all show us out of context of some person being locked up by ICE isn't really shaking nobody. And besides, he was released because he was proved to be a U.S. citizen. So all is well.
And racial profiling used as a tool of political intimidation. But she also explained something that Trump and his ilk don't seem to understand. Quote, "Immigrants love this country deeply. We love
Whoa. But here's the thing, though. Y'all say I love this country deeply, but you'll sit there and prop up your own country and talk shit about ours. You say you love this country deeply, but you'll create little versions of your country in our area. And I'm not just talking about the Somalians. I'm talking about the Mexicans, the Chinese. I'm going across the board on these people. All of y'all is complicit. So I ain't just trying to hear about the Somalians, but let's be honest. When y'all come over here, you don't try to assimilate to the American culture. You try to create your own culture within ours. So please don't play stupid.
Democracy in the way that only those who have lived without it can. We cherish the rule of law, the promise of due process, and the idea that our diversity is a strength, not a threat. Somali Minnesotans will not be intimidated into silence. Trump will never be able to steal the American dream from us because so many of us have fought like hell to have a chance at it. We will.
Okay, great. Then why do you disrespect it? Why do you sit there and call American people stupid? Why do you sit there and say that you can't debate us because you feel like we're unintelligent? I mean, and you're talking about your own American people here. Let's be real. You're talking about the American dream. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you really care about Americans? Are you sure you're more American than us? Because what's up with most of your people sending money back home instead of investing in American companies? $1.2 billion have left your community all the way to Somalia. Why not just invest in American companies in the American stock market if you're so, invested into America, if you're so American? I mean, no, really, people of Somalia, explain that. Because that's some bullshit to sit there and say you're pro-American, but you're sending money outside of America. I mean, why not invest your money here? I mean, what investment, what type of prosperity or type of like return on investment could you possibly get in Somalia? I'm just saying. But all right, shout out to my man Jet. He said, ICE giving illegals and idiots a taste of icy snow. I mean, yeah, icy snow and black snow, because man, they roughed that boy up.
Not surrender the beautiful promise of a nation that belongs to all of us. End quote.
True.
Joining me now is the Democratic Congress.
No, I agree. This country belongs to all of us, legal immigrants and U.S. citizens. Like, I agree with that. But you guys don't act like that. And you can't just play in our face like y'all do. It's like y'all pick and choose when you want to act like American citizens.
For Minnesota, Ilhan Omar. Representative Omar, thank you for being here. Those words that you wrote, obviously they resonate with me as an immigrant. You and I both spent time as children in Kenya. When you go to Minneapolis, which I've been to many times.
Before we get into Ilhan Omar, let me break down something for you about Ilhan Omar that a lot of people don't understand, because, you know, I see why Ilhan Omar kind of, you know, it's kind of funny. I see why she lets these brother rumors fly, because it kind of overlooks, you know, the real story about her. The real story is that Ilhan Omar has been married about 3 times, and she's on her 3rd marriage right now. Let's go over this, because Ilhan Omar's marriage and timeline segment. Let's go. All right, so first marriage is to Ahmed Nursaid Elmi. She married this Somalian man in 2009. Now, the background of this Somalian man, which they're claiming is her brother, is that he is a British citizen of Somalian descent. Now, remember, Ilhan Omar came from Somalia in the 90s. This guy came from Britain as a British citizen of Somalian descent, and he lived primarily in the UK. Now, there is no verified family relations to Omar, obviously, since this man is coming out the UK. So the marriage ended after several years. Divorce finished in about 2017. Now, here's the crazy part. Their claims about Elmin or Ahmed being her brother have been repeatedly investigated and debunked. No credible evidence supports the allegation. So there's no credible evidence that this man is her brother, that she married her brother. No, she just married some UK Somalian guy that primarily lives in the UK in 2019. So that's verifiable that that's not her brother. The second marriage is Ahmed Hersey. And I mean, hey man, she got a thing for the Ahmed guys. Hey, if your name's Ahmed, hit Ilhan Omar up, or girls that look like her, because that is her type. She just loved those guys. Now, it was a religious marriage that she got married to the second Ahmed, not the first one, but the second Ahmed, Hirsi. So it's Hirsi. So the first Ahmed was Elmi, which is Elmi, and the second husband is Ahmed Hirsi, which is Hirsi. Now, this was a religious marriage, an Islamic one, which was pretty much consummated in 2011. So, you know, about 2 years after, you know, the first marriage ended, she'd already slid into this one. You can add your suspicion to that if you want to. It was civilly marriage in 2018. They did have children together. This is where Ilhan Omar's children come from, which is Omar. So yes, Omar and she share children together. I think they share about 2 of them. They share 2 children. They did file for divorce in 2019, and the divorce finalized in 2019. Now, during the marriage, Omar was reported to have a romantic relationship with a political consultant called Tim Minett, and this is her current husband. Yeah, I know, right? So, reporting to have a romantic relationship with a political consultant, Tim Minett, who pretty much be running campaign ads and all that good stuff. So, a campaign finance record shows payments from Omar's campaign to Minett's firm that included personal expenses, which drew media attention and ethics scrutiny. And here's the thing. Her second husband, my man, Ahmed Hersey, which is Hirsi, alleged infidelity in divorce filings, though Omar did not publicly litigate the claim. But I mean, let's be real. You was working closely with the man in your marriage. You was helping him stack campaign funds. You was also doing kickbacks into this man's campaign. I believe campaign organization, but he does work in campaign financing. So it is a bit weird. And here's the crazy part. The third marriage was Yep, relationship became public in 2019, before the divorce was finalized. So before she was divorced from her second husband, she was already seeing this man, Tim Minette, who is a white man. So basically, she cheated on a person of her own culture, of her own descent, own heritage for a white man. The same white man that she likes to talk so vociferously about, talk about how they're the scums of the earth and they're evil and all this crazy stuff. It's kind of funny how they all do that, claim white men to be the scum of the earth while sleeping with them at the same damn time, just like Don Lemon, apparently. But let's talk about my man's background. He's an American political consultant. He is white, of course, non-Somali, and is the current husband of Ilhan Omar. Yes, that's the real story of Ilhan Omar. Married 3 times, cheated on the second husband for a white guy who pretty much runs a political consultant firm. Crazy. But all right, there you go. And that's the story of Ilhan Omar. And that's the real tea right there. Not the fact, and like I said, no, she didn't marry her brother, but she has been married 3 times, and she was low-key unfaithful to the second husband. Like, come on now.
As you know, and you see Somalis on the street, there's no way to know whether they're immigrants or American citizens, or they just got here, or they're tourists, or they're visa holders. Like, you just don't know. They're integrated into society.
They certainly are. And what, we know statistically is that nearly 100% of them are U.S. citizens or permanent residents. And so it is clear that this operation that was mobilized is only mobilized to terrorize a whole community and to make them feel like they are less American than everyone else. The young man that you showed the video of was born in the United States. Many of the people that they have picked up, that they've detained, handcuffed, manhandled, have been citizens who were born here. Nearly 60% of Somali Minnesotans are born U.S. citizens, and so this operation, if it was about safety, if it was about finding the worst of the worst, there is a different way that they would have carried out.
No, actually, no, it is about safety and finding the worst of the worst, because we know that, the Somali community is a knit community. You guys will hide your own who's doing crime, to be real with you guys, and we know it. I mean, the way y'all run y'all businesses kind of let us know that you'll run cover for those who are committing crime. So who's to say that they're not riding in the car with somebody that's illegal? Who's to say that they're not helping people come in or doing paperwork for the illegals? So I'm gonna be honest with you, Ilhan Omar. When ICE cracked down on these citizens, and I don't believe that they're 60% citizens because you have no proof of that. Here's the thing. I would love for them to actually bring proof of their claims instead of just, coming out saying, 60% of the Somalians are locking up our citizens. Can you prove that? Can you sit there and prove that, yeah, these 10 Somalians are locked up and 6 of these guys are actually U.S. citizens? I mean, that's all you got to do. Just give us 6 examples out of 10. Give us 6 examples of these guys getting locked up for being citizens. Because I actually believe the first clip that, yeah, that most likely was an American citizen. But here's the thing. When you sit there and you tell ICE, F you guys, I'm not giving you no identification, what do you think is going to happen after that? Like, no, just be honest, though. What do you think? Even if you're a white lady or an obvious American, if you sit there and tell ICE, no, I ain't giving you shit, they're going to get it out of you by force.
Not by going into establishments that are owned by Somali Minnesotans, not by going to masjids or mosques, not by going into neighborhoods that we frequent. This is clearly racial profiling, ethnic profiling.
I mean, that's what we did to the Mexicans. I mean, what do you think was going to happen? We got to go to where y'all at. We got to go to where maybe the illegals are going to go to try to blend in with the legal ones. We know how they work. So, yes, we're going to go to the highly populated Somali areas. We're going to go to Somali malls. We're going to go pop up near the mosque until the situation is solved. And you guys are just going to have to sit there and take that to the chin. It is what it is.
And it's to intimidate us. But Somalis are resilient. We've been through a lot.
Great. You'll be resilient enough to be monitored for these couple months until we get all the illegal ones out of there. And the one that's under TPS status, about the 700 there. So, I mean, there you go. You could be resilient towards that.
Overcome a lot. and we're not easily intimidated or easily bullied. We know what our rights are. The president gets upset that I tell him that he needs to abide by the Constitution, is because that Constitution means a lot to us. We're people who've experienced what it means to have rights stripped from you. And so we cling on to the fact that we are protected by the Constitution.
We love it. Right? I mean, you're an immigrant to this country. You come here. You when you get your citizenship. In my case, I did it in a courtroom, so you couldn't take a.
I ain't gonna lie, Josh. You funny for that. We're like, no, we're gonna go to Chinatown to look for illegal Mexicans. Like, sis, where the hell you think we gonna go? We're gonna go to the Somali-filled areas to go find illegal Somalis. I'm sorry, that's just how it works. It's kind of funny how she's mad about that.
Cell phone. So, they give you a little pocket constitution. I read it 3 times. And I thought, how wonderful. I mean, this is what I'm going to be part of now. And this is across the board for immigrants in this country. The proportion of people
stay
who
up
immigrate
all night in excitement.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But by the way, they're pulling people out of their immigration lines right now. So it doesn't actually matter whether you, they call them, are illegal or not. People who are in the process, whether you're getting your citizenship or you're getting your H-1B or you're getting your green card or you're showing up for your regular hearings, it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. If you look like you might not be an American citizen, you can be targeted.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and their whole immigration argument falls apart when they say they want to go after people who are not in this country, who are not documented immigrants in this country, or when they say they want to get rid of criminals and go after the worst of the worst, because they are literally in courtrooms. Arresting people who are going through the legal process and showing up for their hearings. They're canceling.
I mean, yeah, if they're an illegal citizen, regardless if they're going through a court date, they still got to be deported. I'm not sure how the argument falls apart when they're showing up to courts of illegals to deport them. I'm not really sure how that's a problem. I don't get what she's saying by that, but okay. I'm not sure how the argument falls apart. We can go into courts to get, the illegal immigrants that are not supposed to be here and catch them on their court date. Makes sense.
Citizenship celebrations, and so it's insane, and everybody can see what they're doing.
One of the things that I think is fascinating, again, Somalis in Minnesota is a good story because they're everywhere. They're all over the place. Do you have to carry your ID? Because the law does not require citizens to carry their identification to prove that they are citizens.
Oh, and shout out John Carl for sending 100 for 2 jewels. Appreciate the support. Oh, God, y'all got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud, engage with it. Just $2 and up. Or you can just send a gift to support the show, man. Appreciate it.
But if you're just going to target everybody who looks like they might be Somali, then 100% of Somali Minnesotans are in danger of being detained.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're in danger of being detained for about up to 72 hours while we investigate their immigration status and then to be released. And if they want to be salty about that, I mean, it is what it is. They want to cry about being detained for 72 hours, which is legal. It is what it is. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be detained for no 72 hours. Most likely it's going to be a couple hours. All right, well, you got your license, social. All right, you're a citizen. All right, go. Next time, just don't resist us. And there you go. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
They're acting like we're throwing them in a dark dungeon for 72 hours and we're yelling them over a microphone. It's like, come on now.
When the president got elected, a lot of people in the Somali community here in Minnesota understood that he wasn't only going to go after undocumented immigrants or people who committed crimes, that he was going to come after all of us, whether we...
Sweetheart, they're not coming after all of you. They're they're deporting the ones that aren't supposed to be here or that had their TPS status revoked. That's it. If a couple of y'all get detained in the process, that doesn't mean that we're just coming after you, all of you, to try to deport you guys. That's what coming after all of you. When ICE pulls up in big trucks trying to deport Somalians, no matter if they're a citizen or not, then we're coming after all of you. This is just making sure. This is just making sure we got the right people. And if we got the wrong person, we release them.
immigrated here and became citizens, or whether you are born to somebody who was an immigrant in your first generation. And so people like my son ordered their passport IDs and carry their passport IDs with them, the same as the young man. You know, he was carrying his passport ID. The ID that he's describing is not a driver license, it's a passport ID. There are a lot of people who are working around with their actual passports. I carry my passport around. And so it is, is both out of the fear of being detained as they.
No, I mean, yeah, no, carrying your passport is wise. I'll be real with you. It's like the ultimate form of identification. Your passport is like such an ultimate form of identification. It counts as 2 forms of identification. 2, you bring your passport and that makes up for your ID and your social security. So yeah, I get it.
Did to one of my constituents who's a resident of Edina, who they detained for 24 hours until her parents and relatives could present her passport. So people are afraid of that. They don't.
All right, then. See, told you, 24 hours. Your parents have to present your passport, and then you was released once they verified you was a citizen. That's all you got to do is comply. I mean, like you're acting like there's literally no way for them to get out. Like we're just locking them up, and we're not telling you anything. They're literally saying, look, just prove she's a citizen and we got you. But since she wasn't willing to prove she was a citizen on site, we had to detain her, and she'll be here for like 72 hours until we can either prove that she's not a citizen or she is one. Like, there you go. And a lot of these Somalians don't even speak English. So when they get detained, it's not like they can really communicate with the officers that well. And their parents or somebody else who do speak English is going to have to speak up for them. So that's also their fault as well. Because, I mean, what are you doing here not speaking English? Still, whole citizen as well.
Don't want to get detained, but also you don't want to be harassed. You don't want to be manhandled, and you just want that interaction to go as smoothly as it can by you showing them that you are an American citizen.
What a thing. I mean, this is not a country where citizens are required to show identification. Just it's a fact that is not a requirement, a proof of citizenship, and yet that has to happen. I never know when Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, actually, when ICE pulls up on you and it's immigration enforcement, yeah, that's mainly what they're gonna be here for, my dog. Like, trust me, when the police pull up on you, you're right. They're most likely not gonna be checking if you're an illegal immigrant. But if it's ICE, yeah, they're gonna be checking. So it just makes sense that they would do that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, did he really say that? I thought that made sense.
Showing them that you are an American citizen.
What a thing. I mean, this is not a country where citizens are required to show identification. Just it's a fact that is not a requirement, a proof of citizenship, and yet that has to happen. I never know when Donald Trump takes a shot at you.
I mean, bro, usually when you show an ID and your ID is from that country, state of within a country, that usually means you're a U.S. citizen. And then if the officer can look that up, they can usually verify if you're a citizen or not. So I'm not sure where you're going with that.
Pretty racist usually. Called you garbage the other day and told you to get the hell out. I never know whether to sort of laugh that off.
And like, let's be real. If an ICE officer comes up to you and tell you to identify yourself under the suspicion that you may be here illegally, you're just going to tell them to fuck off? And then when they wrestle you to the ground, take your ass in and find out you're a citizen anyway to let you go, you're going to cry about it? Don't you think you kind of invited that onto yourself? Exactly.
Say, well, it's Trump being Trump, and you don't get affected by it all that much, or to say that's kind of crazy that the president of the United States is saying this about a U.S. citizen who is an elected representative in Congress. How should I think about this?
I think all of the above. It is a wild thing. It's easily mockable. It is embarrassing that the president is willing to denigrate the presidency in such a matter. It is also.
I mean, didn't you guys just denigrate I'll be real with you, the COVID system? Didn't you denigrate our tax system? Didn't you just commit didn't like about 78 Somalian people commit $250 billion in fraud? I mean, and it was right under your noses. So didn't you pretty much denigrate your own constituents' taxpayer money? I mean, let's be real though. We could throw shots all day, but I'm be honest with you. You might want to focus on your own area, because this is the problem with you Dems. You're too focused on the president and not focused on handling stuff in your own backyard. Like, let's be real about that.
Dangerous.
Ask them what's the last thing they did for their district, city, state. They'll just hit you with I'm fighting Donald Trump right now. It's like, bro.
And creepy to have this level of obsession on someone like me, who's just a member of Congress.
I want to ask you very quickly before we go. We are following these shootings in Australia and in Rhode Island. There was a shooting in your district not that long ago, a mass shooting. This is yet another bad day for
Yeah, the
America.
shooting in Australia is crazy, but I believe about 15 people died. It was bro, lone shooter came out there and just started popping off at a festival with full of Jewish people, and it was actually a guy who came up. It's actually on camera. Bro came up and disarmed a gunman while taking 2 shots. He took 2 shots and then went up to disarm a gunman. I mean, the man's a legend at this point. Let me see if I can find the footage.
Yeah, I mean, we are still recovering from the shooting at Annunciation Church. It is a tragedy that this has become a normal occurrence, not just in the United States, but now seeing it in Australia, who's worked really hard to create gun prevention laws to prevent the kind of tragedy that took place today.
Thank you for your time this morning. Good to see you again. The Democratic Congresswoman for Minnesota, Ilhan Omar. All right, we're
all right, guys. I guess we can go ahead and get over to the Aussie shooting. Let's see here. Is there anything really going? Let's see, 11 killed. Yep, here it is. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
It has been a day of terror in Australia. At least 11 people killed at an event where hundreds of people gathered at Bondi Beach in Sydney to celebrate the first day of the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. People can be seen scrambling for safety as gunfire erupts and dramatic videos.
And I can go ahead and already show you the perpetrator. So here's the perpetrator. You know, shout out to PBD Podcast for we'll go ahead and posting this. But here it is. One of the terrorists has reportedly been identified as Naved Akram. Who is said to be from Pakistan. Woo, of all the Muslim countries, Pakistan. Woo, of all of them. But here's the craziest part. Now, you know how PBD and them, they're just, I mean, let's be real. PBD takes any time to sit there and bash on Muslims, but will never have anybody to defend Islam, but he'll have everybody in the world to sit there and shit on Islam. I love the podcast, but I just hate when they do that, to be quite honest with you. Now, shout out to this guy. He says, I'm just going to leave this here because this is the guy who disarmed the gunman. Yes, Australian media confirmed that 43-year-old Ahmed. Hey, yo, what's up with the Ahmeds today? We got Ilhan Omar dating 2 Ahmeds. We got an Ahmed saving Jews and all this crazy stuff, bro. Shout out to Ahmeds. Apparently, all the Ahmeds are some real ones. Shout out to the Ahmeds out there in the world because that's like the 3rd one, goddammit. So, yeah, 43-year-old Ahmed Al-Ahmed was the heroic man who tackled one of the Bondi Beach shooters, risking his life and also taking 2 gunshots. Like, shout out to that guy. You know, I posted this and I'm just like, yeah, when y'all want to sit there and try to demonize Muslims, if all of them want to sit there and kill you and just kill all Jews, no, that's not all of them. There's a small group of them. And then I'm telling you, majority of Muslims would actually stick up for Jews and other people, just like this guy. I mean, if you think about it, if all Muslims really hated Jews as much as y'all say they do, this man would have just sat back and said, keep shooting, bro, you're cooking. No, keep going. No, instead he walked up there like a real one, disarmed the man, and saved the whole bunch of lives. And then, bro, this man PBD low-key pissed me off because he was low-key trying to skirt around the fact that a Muslim man actually saved these people's lives by saying that, oh, well, because of this one Muslim man, 15 people died. I'm just like, you're right. But guess what? Because of this Muslim man, it wasn't 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 people that died. So, bro, come on now. But all right, though, let's go ahead and get back to the CNN coverage of this. Just have to go ahead and show you, you know, that little piece real quick. And how, for some reason, I just don't get it. I don't know, man. PBD Podcast be disappointing me in that aspect. But it is what it is.
Shows a gunman being tackled.
Hey, my guy, Ahmed. There you go.
Dramatic video shows a gunman being tackled and having his weapon taken from him right there before he runs away. 2 people can be seen shooting from a bridge. Police say they also removed an explosive device from a car nearby. Police say there were 2 suspects. One of them is dead. The other is in a life-threatening condition. Authorities are labeling it a terrorist incident. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called the attack an act of evil. CNN international diplomatic editor Nick Robertson is joining me right now from London with more on this investigation, Nick. And we're seeing harrowing moments on social media from this attack. Walk us through what you're learning.
Yeah, it really is very horrific. Some of the video, some of the casualties, and the fact that these gunmen were shooting from about 70 yards away to this open area where 1,000 people were gathered celebrating Hanukkah, the first night of Hanukkah, just about to light the first candle on the menorah. What we understand from Australian authorities is that one of these attackers, and we don't know if it's the one that's dead or the one that's in hospital with severe injuries, one of these attackers was known to the security services prior to this attack. They're saying that that knowledge didn't lead them to believe that there was an imminent threat, but one of them was
injured
on the radar of the.
So yeah, 11 killed, 29 injured. I believe the number's been updated to 15 killed. So I mean, like I said, RIP.
Security services in Australia. That video there of the man has been described as a
I already know.
And it would appear rightly so. Hiding,
Nah,
you see him there in a white shirt.
Nah, rightfully so. I know them Jews want to fuck them up right now, bro. They want to stomp their ass out into oblivion. I already know, cause what you just came there firing off into the crowd. You get taken down by one, and then the other guy gets taken down. Now we're all just looking at, and now all the guys from the Jewish festival are coming over, going like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Like, trust me, I get it. I'd want to stomp them out too.
Hiding behind a vehicle. He's got the
Let him get they
gunman a
stomps
few
in,
feet away from him, and he doesn't have a weapon himself. Runs up, tackles the gunman, wrestles the gun away from him. One of his relatives has identified him as Ahmed Al-Ahmed, a 43-year-old storekeeper married with 2 children. No previous experience of firearms, according to his relative. And the sad thing about that incident, if you will, is the other gunman starts shooting at Ahmed Al-Ahmed, shoots him in the shoulder, shoots him in the arm. He's getting treatment in hospital at the moment. But it is very clearly an ongoing investigation for the police to try to find out more about these 2 attackers. The Prime Minister, as you said, calling an act of evil. He said it was an act against the
Hanukkah
Jewish community in Australia.
Obviously.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith, an act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation.
Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu has criticized the Australian Prime Minister and the Australian government because he said he wrote to them back in September at the time that they were recognizing, along with other countries, recognizing a Palestinian state. And he said that this was only going to make it worse for the Jewish community, that it would breed and enliven anti-Semitism. And he called on the government now.
No. Them recognizing Palestine did not cause this shooting. Let's be absolutely like 100. No, them like recognizing Palestine. No, maybe what's going on in Palestine could have caused this, but not them recognizing Palestine. Like, why would the 2 Arab guys go shooting because the recognition of Palestine? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Stand up and be strong. He also, by the way, the
And
Israeli.
they're shooting at a Jewish community, so we can already tell that their attack was definitely hate motivated. Obviously. Now, what caused it? Could be anywhere from just, I mean, the most less likely issue would probably be mental health. To be real with you, we can't even sit here and say mental health. We can say either a terrorist plot or politically motivated by what's going on in Gaza.
Prime Minister praised that Muslim man, the hero there, wresting the gun from the attacker, praised him for what he did in saving lives.
I mean, deservedly, that was unbelievable. And thank goodness.
Yeah, thank
All right, Nick Robertson, thank you so much. All right, we're also learning more about the victims from Sunday's horrendous attack. Earlier today, my colleague Victor Blackwell spoke to Alex Rivchin, whose friend was killed in the shooting. Here's what he shared.
I've spoken at that event for the last probably 10 years. I was scheduled to speak again tonight, but in the last minute, I was contacting the rabbi and saying I had a bar mitzvah to attend. Maybe we could bump me from the run sheet a little bit forward. And that rabbi, who is a dear, dear friend and one of the kindest and most beautiful human beings I've ever known, is among the dead. One of my colleagues was there and he's wounded and he's in hospital at the moment. I've just heard that, again, a friend has lost his 12-year-old daughter who succumbed to her wounds in hospital. We're a very close-knit community, and this event is kind of the gem of our year. It's something we look forward to every year. It's when we gather on Bondi Beach with families and we have face painting and jumping castles and petting zoos, and we mark the beginning of the Festival of Lights. It's a joyous day. And here in Australia, it's the beginning of the summer holidays. It's the beginning of the school holidays. It's right on the beach. It's a beautiful day. This is one of the most cherished events in our communal calendar. And the fact that it's turned into a bloodbath, the fact that people plotted, acquired weapons, came there knowing that there would be children there, that there would be elderly people, families, defenseless people just gathered there in peace, and they slaughtered them in cold blood. This is something that will transform our country. This is something that will crush our community, and we'll have to rebuild from this. Tomorrow we'll be burying our dead and we'll be comforting each other. I don't know how we recover from this.
And like I said, RIP to those guys, man. Have them in your prayers. But all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and shut it down on this note. And let's see here. I'll try to see if I can pull back up here for, 5 in the morning. We'll see. Most likely, though, we're probably going to do another 11 o'clock for tomorrow. So, guys, I'll either see you either at 5:30 tonight or either at 11:30 in the morning tomorrow. Well, 5:30 in the morning or 11:30 in the morning. Either one. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close it out on this one, man. I appreciate you guys for pulling up. Man, it's the Set with S.E.T Media, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Hey, guys, appreciate you guys for pulling up. Peace. And here's a nice funny clip for you guys to run off on. Wait, why not?
Think shit sweet till I send out the guys. I done said it before and it ain't the last time. You think you gonna take these jobs? I'll send you back over that wall and make you climb. Come through trim, deporting your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your mama. Just sent 300 national guards to the rack. Donald Trump went, this is Sparta. We catching their ass outside and sending their ass back home. And I got shot with that fire. How I survived? Man, that shit unknown. Government won't even answer the phone. He said that I'm doing the shit that he won't. Why are they talking about switches on guns like we not the ones that gave it a go? Tell you something you don't know. Chicago fucked up cause the government slow. Murder rate never was low. Everybody killing cause everybody is broke. And why is everybody broke? Because the immigrants taking the jobs you want. Send them back over the wall, take notes. I send them back on a plane, a boat. I don't want them in the country no more. I don't want no one looking for work at the store. Why the fuck is they making the city look bad? Why the fuck is they rhyme around waving that flag? I got so sick of this shit and I'm mad. I called Joe Biden that night and I bragged. They deep in the street, then you know it's DT. Free Larry Hoover, I'm really GD. And I hop in the back of a black truck. Camouflage bulletproof vest and you cannot attack us. Stupid little boy better back up. I get the snapping and turn the whole city to back up. Ain't no more New Mexico, I rename. They don't know we about to use Chicago for training. I put 300 guys in the streets in this place. We making America great, it's amazing. Think shit sweet till I send out the guys. I done said it before and it ain't the last time. You think you gonna take these jobs? I'll send you back over that wall and make you climb. Come through trim, deporting your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your mama. Just sent 300 national guards to the rack. Donald Trump went, this is Sparta. We catching their ass outside and sending their ass back home. And I got shot with that fire. How I survived? Man, that shit unknown. Government won't even answer the phone. He said that I'm doing the shit that he won't. Why are they talking about switches on guns like we not the ones that gave it a go?